counting or not counting gang violence. Great.
Oh my God.
Cody, go, run. Whoa.
Wow.
There you have it, guys. This is a, man, I'm not even sure what to say at this point. This is breaking news. It just happened about an hour ago. It was pronounced dead. Charlie Kirk's been shot. Special edition of the Political Orphans. We've invited a bunch of people to show up and talk about this because what the fuck is going on, right? What the fuck? What the fucking fuck? Like, this is blowing my mind. To have Jason D from the US call me. He's like, hey, bro, I need to be on your show. Let me come in. This is insane. Absolutely insane.
Jason is showing up, eh?
Yep.
Yeah, no, this is, there's, oh man, there's so much to unpack here. But yeah, it feels like the start. We're teetering on the brink of something pretty dark.
Yep.
And yeah, I don't know. I'm a liberal. I'm not particularly fond of honestly, I haven't really thought about Charlie Kirk too much in the last couple of years since my sort of awakening and shift towards the center. But a lot of the feelings I have of him are just residual from a few years back when I was more of a firm liberal. But that said, regardless of what you feel about his takes, he's a family man. I mean, he's about as moderate as you can get. Like, you know what I mean? I saw a comment out there, and it was pretty good. It was like, of all the people to assassinate on the right, this is a guy that's going around trying to have discourse. Yeah, you don't agree with him, sure. That's the whole point. But he's doing things the right way. He's trying to have a conversation, and they shot him for it. Like, if Charlie Kirk is a fascist, if Charlie Kirk is a Nazi that should be killed, then everybody is on the right. Anyone just slightly right of center is a target. And maybe that was the message to send, right? Maybe if some Nick Fuentes or whatever gets killed, they could be like, oh, well, he's just so far right. But like when it's Charlie Kirk, this is a moderate conservative righty. And the liberal politicians are saying the things that, thoughts and prayers and all that nonsense. But there's a large number of just regular liberals or far left woke liberals on TikTok, on social media, who are celebrating this, who are happy about this.
It's the same thing. However you feel about Trump when he got shot, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Right. But now you're talking about a guy that's literally been showing up to universities, to colleges, and
to have
engaging in a civil discourse with regular young people, something that has never been done before. Charlie Kirk is really the first one to do this type of work, to engage with the left, engage in the right. And if you think that universities in the US and in Canada are partial, that they actually respect conservatives the way they do liberal, bull fucking shit.
No.
Like, for him to do that, he was going to be at a disadvantage every single time. Like, he was going into a war zone every time he showed up to one of those schools. Mm-hmm. And what's interesting is that over the years, that changed. You saw the discourse completely change, and he was welcome, as in he was okay to be there. They didn't try to cancel him. They actually engaged with him. We'll bring on Jason D. This is going to make for a very interesting episode. What's going on? Jason,
Rob. What's happening, brother?
And
hey, Jason, nice to see you guys.
This is on purpose. Both Jason Levine and I are conservatives. Rob and Jason are liberals, are more leftist. Jason D is our dude from the US, so when there's something in American politics that's happening, we invite him on the show, but I didn't even need to do that. You literally called me, just say like, what the fuck is going on? So Jason D, since you're an American, since you don't like Charlie Kirk per se, right? You've never been a fan of him. Just go ahead. I want to give you the mic, man.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And I'm sorry I'm not dressed for the occasion. I just came from like beach volleyball practice, and my phone blew up and I didn't know why. And I just want to say this. When I first saw Charlie Kirk, you got like the bits like of his worst moments that kind of like shaped my opinion of him, right?
Same for me.
When he says something like, oh, when you see a pilot and he's white and square jawed, I know I'm safe, and then you think he's a racist. But then when you actually listen to his engagement of ideas, he's not a racist, because the racism and its definition was the inherent belief that one is superior or inferior based on one's race. All right. So I just wanted to get that out of the way, because I know there's a lot of misconceptions about the guy. Yep. And my desire for him, or my disgust with him, is totally irrelevant today, as much as free speech took a black eye. Right. And I want to start this by saying this. I'm going to take a couple more seconds. If anyone on this panel, if free speech, ever in your life has never disgusted you, if you've never been appalled by free speech, you never fought hard enough for it. You in your life have probably never fought hard enough for it. Okay. Free speech is there to protect unpopular speech. That's right. Popular speech doesn't need protection. This was appalling. This was disgusting. This man has a family, he has kids, and is whatever bad thing I can say about him, at least he had the mental acumen and the testicular fortitude to engage in the freedom of exchange of ideas. All right. Was he preying on college freshmen? Of course, he's smarter than them, but his agenda was to shape liberal minds who come into college and say, hey, we need a conservative balance, right? So you're always going to respect someone like that. And I swear to God and Sonny Jesus, if there's any one of my friends that even suggests that his free speech promoted violence and he had this coming, all they've shown me is that they're ill-informed and they're at this point willfully ignorant, because they've been advised and they're still set in their own ways, which makes them stupid.
100%.
Amen.
Jason Levine, what do you think?
Yeah, you go ahead, Jason.
I'm reeling from it right now, because we had a Ukrainian woman killed in North Carolina. We have this. We had the young people that were shot praying. As far as I'm concerned, this is 3 strikes now. It's incredible how conservatives, Christians, people that want to talk, bring their faith forward, they're being targeted at this stage. And Jason, nice to meet you. I think what you had to say there is a great thing to say. Sorry we interrupted with your volleyball. I used to play as well. But the problem here is he was out there trying, even with the young people, like you said, he was kind of targeting the universities. That's where we start. That's where we start shaping the minds and help getting into the conversation. And if he was able to convince some people to talk, instead of just taking the streets with signs and not having conversations, and then that's a good thing. Either side. And what I did like about Charlie is he had an open mic. He would invite people to come up, and he never swore at them. He never chastised them. He never demonized them. He may have laughed a couple times at some of the things that was said, but he always had an open mic for people to come up on any side and have conversation with him. I'm appalled right now. I'm still kind of digesting this, because we just had that death in North Carolina where a woman was stabbed and nobody helped, nobody interfered. It's just shocking. And I'm sorry, I'm getting some calls here. Nico, there's a few people that want to jump on.
Oh, Nico, your mic, think it might need to reset that. But yeah, we'll get some people to jump on. I think with regards to Charlie Kirk, I think there's a huge gap between the things he actually said versus the things we are told he was said. Especially if you're on the left, most of the content you consume or see from Charlie Kirk is going to be highly curated, cherry-picked clips of him designed to make him look a certain way. Jason D, that as you mentioned it when you spoke up. I think we're going to get into a lot of different aspects of this today. There's going to be lots of different things at play. But I think the one thing that I'd like to get across is, of course, the left is going to be outraged, but us on the right, us on the left need to be outraged as well. People on the left need to start realizing, what, maybe we're the problem right now. Ask ourselves those hard questions, though, look in the mirror a little bit. And you hope something like this might snap a few people into, give them a slap across the face. I guess time will tell. But yeah, as Jason Levine said, I think we're all sort of digesting this now. This is something something about this feels different, even to the Trump shooting, in my opinion. Something about this feels different. It feels like a Rubicon has been crossed, and perhaps we're looking into an abyss here. We're staring at something pretty dark. And yeah, I don't know where we're going to go from here, but It's going to be it's going to be a pretty. I mean, I don't know. I like you said, Jason, I'm a loss for words too. And my final thought:
Of all the people, this
I
is
know.
what blows my mind. Of all the people that could have gone shot, Charlie Kirk was the least that he would have never crossed my
the
mind
moderate
as
one,
a
right?
target for the left. Like, the guy spoke to the youth. He actually was the first one to engage with the young mind in universities, battlegrounds for a conservative. He's been doing it for years. He was still doing it today when he got shot. It blows my mind that this, of all the guys that they could have picked to go after, that Charlie Kirk was that man. And there's something really bad that's about to happen. Like, this week, Nepal's falling. French government's has been put down. You have that Ukrainian woman that got stabbed in a bus. Nobody gives a shit about it. Now this, you have September 13th. You have the Canada First protests that started here in Toronto, that even Tommy Robinson is talking about in the UK. The UK is a powder keg right now. All it takes is one sparks. This Charlie Kirk getting shot is not good. I don't have a good feeling about what's coming, because there's too many things happening this week alone, and we're just fucking Wednesday.
Yeah.
Hey, Donald, welcome to the show. You're muted. I'll unmute you to... Oh, you chose to mute. Oh, there you go. Let us know how you feel, Donald.
Yeah.
So,
go ahead.
we're talking about Charlie Kirk, but we're talking about a lot of other things, aren't we? We're really talking... Can you hear me? Everything okay?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You're good.
We're really talking about the fact that around the world, violence has been an integral part of politics and social change forever, except in Western society. When it happens in Western society, in the old days, I think it was an anomaly or noteworthy. But now, somehow, our society has changed so that violence, hate, defamation, and all the other things that were never a part of civilized Western politics, internal anyway, somehow, here we are.
It's not just me, right?
Did Donald freeze for you guys too? Okay.
Yeah, it's just him.
Yeah, I think he froze there. We could. Just, I'm sure he'll jump back on.
Okay,
For
here
the
I am.
people,
There you
yeah,
go.
for the people who don't know who Donald Best is, he's a retired Toronto police officer, corruptions investigator. He knows his stuff well.
So we have that young Ukrainian girl on public transit stabbed to death by a black career criminal who celebrated that he, and you can hear it on the video, he had murdered a white girl. So, whatever's happened here is a result of something very, very deep changes to how we live, our society, our politics, because truly, this was not part of our Western, Canadian, American political standard until very recently. Now, look, guys, if I'm wrong, argue against it, but I think that this is very new.
I mean,
D,
yeah.
got
You
something
go
to
ahead,
say?
Jason D.
Of course, yeah. I'm 71 years old, so my definition new might be different than yours. Okay.
Donald, when you first presented your thoughts, I thought it was actually non sequitur to the original premise, but you added a very important layer of just paying attention to the general concept of mental illness, which always gets swept under the rug when these things happen. In America, they want to talk about banning guns. In America, they want to talk about homeless veterans, get them off the street, or drug addicts should be in jail, when the common denominator, all of these things is mental health. And until we get around addressing these things en masse or in solitary moments like this will continue to happen. I didn't see that because I'm such a prisoner of the moment, because I'm a free speech and well, in terms of the First Amendment, but on general free speech, I'm a free speech absolutist. I was on this very show arguing with Nico, and Rob about Khalil's free speech, who's not even, a naturalized American citizen. I fought for the free speech of that woman who wrote an op-ed and got picked up by ICE agents. So who would I be? What would I be if I can't argue for free speech for Charlie Kirk, who's been the master of the freedom of exchange of ideas, who I don't believe uttered one word that even suggested he promotes violence. He's funny, he's extreme, but I don't think Nico, you're a bigger fan than me. There's nothing in any of these engagements that says you should go out and like shoot someone, or you should go out and shoot liberals, or this and that. And Donald, I'm so glad you brought that up, because that's just as important as my own personal pet peeve of free speech. And you came on late. I'd like to land with this, and because I want everybody to understand this that's watching the show. If free speech at no point in your life has ever disgusted you, if free speech in your life at no point has ever appalled you, then you have never fought hard enough for it. No time in your life have you ever fought hard of it if you don't feel about it that way.
Okay, if I can reply to that. First of all, I joined the Toronto Police in 1975, a long time ago. And at that time, we were shutting down the mental institutions in Ontario, the group homes, the hospitals, because you know what? There's just so many that they're never going to be right. They're dangerous to themselves and others. They'll need care for the rest of their lives. And what did we do? We put them, quote, in the community care. We put them on the streets. That's what we did. Okay. And now, and for those who don't know, I spent 63 days in prison in solitary confinement. I was since vindicated. It was all phony evidence. Great, wonderful. But I spent the time there, and I can tell you that all those people who used to be under our care in mental institutions, hospitals, homes, whatever you want to call them, they're in solitary confinement. They're in the prisons now. Okay,
is there a limitation to
hang on.
confinement?
That's part of it. But the other part of it is we always like to excuse and say
He needs better internet.
Yeah, got that.
He's
that
leaving us on
Nico,
the
in
perfect
Canada,
order.
is there a maximum for solitary confinement? Is there a minimum number of days or maximum number of
I don't-
days you're allowed to be in solitary confinement?
I don't think
Not
so.
that I
Jeremy.
know of. Not
Yeah.
that I know of. Now we can hear you.
We got you back. You're back.
Nope, gone again. I just wanted to jump in because there definitely is a lot of sort of sub issues related to this specifically thing, and you can make certainly some connections between this and North Charlotte thing. For me, the biggest issue, the primary one, is free speech, first of all, and political violence. That is to me what is the biggest takeaway from certainly what we saw today. And I think certainly if you are, identifies either left of center or whatnot, we got to be honest with ourselves about where right now the political violence. Look, there is a cycle. Back in the 60s and 70s, the political violence was on the left. The Weather Underground, a lot of the bombings, and then I think you have, it shifted to the right in maybe the 80s and 90s. You had Oklahoma City bombing, right? That's political violence. That's right wing. Now it feels like we've shifted back to the left again. And I don't know exactly why these cycles happen. It seems like the side that's losing or feels like they're losing seems to be the one that lashes out in violence. Now, the political left, the cultural left the political left has been culturally dominant for easily the last 20 years. But I think in the last couple of years, they've started to slip. Things have changed. People aren't necessarily buying it. And I think obviously not every liberal or leftist is violent. It's just there's crazies on all sides. And I think this is starting to affect the crazies. We've heard the term stochastic terrorism. And I think the left needs to be very, very, not just careful, but also serious about the way discourse is right now. When you say someone is a fascist or a Nazi just because you don't agree with them,
So
and this
lazy.
is what the left does. That is an incitement to violence. That is, if you want to call hate speech a thing, I'm not a huge fan of hate speech as a concept, but if you're going to make it one, that is hate speech, right? So we cannot get to a place, and you know, this isn't necessarily a both sides issue. I just call balls and strikes. I call it like I see it. Right now, in this moment, it is the left doing this. And so the onus and the responsibility is those of us who consider ourselves common sense liberals, sane, reasonable people on the left. We're the ones that have to be speaking out. The right's got to be speaking out against it, of course, but it has to be us that is holding ourselves accountable, that's looking in the mirror, because, you know, the woke left has absolutely, like, the radical, insane 20% of the left are the ones that are driving the boat right now. They are the ones that are pushing this shit. Do you see how many of these crazy radical leftists, like blue-haired they thems, who are celebrating this shit on TikTok, on X, on social media, everywhere you see? That's a real problem. And we need to hound these people out of any type of polite society as best we can.
I
that's
kind of want to add
so-
on to that, if you don't mind.
Yep.
Go ahead, Jason. I'll go.
Yeah,
after.
listen, I want to also point the finger here at media. Media is who radicalized even the left radicalized ones.
Yes.
Because the first things out of the media's mouth before we got the news of his death was, oh, maybe it was just one of his supporters celebrating and firing off the gun. Like, already trying to twist things in such a way that's just disgusting. And of course, that's not what happened. This was a kill shot.
This
was, I think, a sniper. I don't even know if it was a lefty at this point. This was a professional, in my opinion. This was like, if you look at that wound, how quickly that opened up. This was not just a regular bullet. So this was a kill shot. So if somebody wanted this guy dead, we don't know who yet, but I definitely want to point the finger here at media. Media has been radicalizing people for a long time now. I've been telling the blacks, hey, you're the ones that have been oppressed. You need to, fight back, reparations. Telling the left that these guys are out to kill you. We got to get rid of their guns and all this kind of stuff. So let's not let the media off the hook. They're the ones that came right out of the gate already with their propaganda, and even trying to highlight that maybe it was one of his supporters celebrating and the gun just kind of went off or something. I'm frustrated right now because I'm in media. I'm a journalist, and I'm trying to do what I can to bring the truth forward to people. And we've got not just mental illness, as Donald was pointing out there, or radical left, as you were pointing out, Rob. We have a system which is meant to divide us in such a way that we all become radicalized. Like, I want to be very careful that the people on the right don't become radicalized about the events this week, including Charlie Kirk, because the last thing we need is a whole bunch of radicalized people into the streets fighting this out, because that's where I'm concerned is headed. I don't know where it's going to head, but the movie Civil War just came out, and now they're doing this kind of stuff. I want to point some of the blame here at the media, who's radicalizing all sides at this stage, and there may be a plan for that, and I'm frustrated about that one. So sorry, Rob. I hear you. We don't know if it's a left person or not. But
I think your point complements mine. When I say like stochastic terrorism, it's primarily the media that is pushing this. And I think mental health has a place, but the fact of the matter is that's why stochastic terrorism works, because there are crazies out there. You don't even need to specifically target them. You don't need to tell them directly go and do this. You just know that they're out there, and you know if you frame things in a certain way, if you put the bug out there, eventually it'll pick a few of these crazies. It will pick up on them. So yes, it is mental health is a factor, but it by no means can be use an excuse or frankly, just going for mental health is not going to solve the real problem. The real problem is this misinformation by the media that is teaching all of us to hate the other side, to hate someone who has a different political opinion.
But at the same time, it is mental illness. Like I traveled throughout Canada, coast to coast. I've traveled throughout the US, coast to coast, more than 30 states in the past 3 years. And it is everywhere. Homelessness, people that should be in asylums, people that should be under direct doctor care, that should be watched, are in the street. They release them in the public. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen when those guys are out there? They have access to drugs, they have access to alcohol, and on top of that, you have media that keeps on pushing this divisiveness, saying that the left is supposed to hate the right. And this is the reason we started this show, you and I, Rob, is to show that it's possible for people with different political views to actually agree or even at least have civil discourse. And tell me who was not better at doing that than Charlie Kirk. Like, he is the originator of this. He's the first there's no liberal that ever had the balls to go to a conservative school and start pushing their ideas. It took a conservative to do it, because we both know that in North America, our education system, or indoctrination system, as I like to call it, is heavily controlled by the woke mob. So it needed somebody that was more in the middle to show up and actually talk about these things, and he got shot for it. This is insane to me. It's
Well, it makes you wonder
insane.
if that's why he was chosen, because he was the moderate one, because he was the.
But that's
reasonable
not.
one.
But that's not even the problem. The problem is that I'm already seeing people, as you said, celebrating this.
Oh,
The
yeah.
same way as people, when that
Nico.
Ukrainian girl got stabbed this week, they couldn't care less. Yet we all know that if the roles were reversed, if it was a black girl that was on that was seated there, and 4 black guys or 4 black people would have been around just watching, 4 white guys would have been around watching while a white guy stabbing her in the neck, that wouldn't have fly. Same thing as today. So the left needs to stand up to this bullshit. Because
Nico,
being a liberal doesn't mean, but hold on, Donald, but
Yeah.
being a liberal doesn't mean that you need to like Charlie Kirk. Because Jason D doesn't particularly like him. There's a lot of people I don't like on the conservative side. That doesn't mean I'm going to take a gun and go fucking shoot them. Like, are you kidding me? He proned civil discourse. He stood up for what we need in society to be able to have a civil discourse exactly like we're having right now. For the people that are just joining us, Rob Ambrose a liberal. Jason D's a liberal. I'm a conservative. Jason Levine is probably considers himself somewhere in the middle. And Donald, I'm not sure where you sit. I'm not going to talk for you, but you have at least 2 lefties, 2 righties. And Donald, you can tell us where you stand.
I've changed a lot since I've been to prison.
Yes, sir.
Let me tell you,
Feel like
okay?
there's- feel like there's some
I don't believe
backstory
in
there.
capital
There's some
punishment because I've
stories.
seen. I don't believe in capital punishment because I've seen too many people convicted wrongfully, including myself. I was vindicated. Doesn't matter. But had I been, found guilty of a capital offense instead of contempt of court, I might have been executed on false evidence. Okay, so look, Nico, I agree with like 99% of what he's saying, but I
That's a
just
good place
want
to be. That's a good place to be.
Yeah, I really agree with what you said, but I want to point out one thing, and that's this whole thing about mentally ill. We always want to default to the guy who was mentally ill. No, there's a spiritual battle going on, evil versus good, no matter where you have. There's also people who are predators. They've always been predators. That's the way it is. My first homicide arrest, he was 12 years old, and he went on to do so much else. So, look, I really disagree with defaulting to mentally ill. We have to recognize evil. We have to recognize predators, okay? In St. Catharines last week, a man broke into a home while the parents were sleeping and raped a 3-year-old child. That man's not mentally ill. He has a history of doing stuff like that. And those traitors, those people in charge of us, our rulers, let him out on the street. So, no, I refuse to default to mentally ill. I think that people who do this, the people who are continually violent, the man who murdered that Ukraine and laughed about it and said she was a white girl, we must purge our society of these people, whatever that means, camps up north, I don't know. But the people who allow this to happen are traitors to each one of us. That's my point.
I agree.
Before you go, Rob, just let me address this for a second, because I call it mental illness. You can call it evil. I'm a Christian, so I think they're evil. Mental illness is a word that people recognize. You just need to understand that this show, we have.
But it gives them a pass, Nico. It gives them a pass. Don't give them a pass.
No, but hold on. There's no point about arguing about the 10% that we disagree on. There's so many shows out there that will only bash at each other. The whole point of this place is to actually have the conversation where we do agree. You have liberals here that agree with us conservatives saying that this shouldn't be happening, this shouldn't be promoted, this shouldn't be celebrated by the left. Let's focus on that. But I agree with you as a Christian, this is evil. Mental illness is caused by evil. So you and I agree. But what I'm saying is, I'm just trying to use mental illness as the common denominator that we all understand. You want to change the word, that's fine. But that is just to remember the type of show that this is. We are people from all political
instead
spectrum.
of using mental illness,
I don't want us to argue on the word.
Yeah, I feel
Just
like
but it's more than a word. It's a big concept.
Hang on.
And if I argue, it's because I still love you.
I
No,
feel like
agree.
we're getting bogged down a little bit in semantics right now. I know for my take,
yes, my point.
it really
Mental
doesn't-
illness versus career criminal, violent criminals on the street. Some of them are mental, but most
Yeah.
of them are predators, and
So-
that's
so-
their chosen path.
As I see it, I don't really. It doesn't make a difference to me if the animal who slaughtered that girl is also crazy. It really. My whole take is whether he's mentally ill or not, we just shouldn't even factor it in. Remove this person from society, however you want to do
Fair
it.
enough.
We can
Common
debate.
denominator. Yeah.
We can debate all we want whether he's mentally or not, but it does not matter whatsoever to me. He's either can't help himself, or he either decided to do that and he has no business in society, or he can't help himself, and that's even more reason for him never to be free again, ever. So yeah.
What's up, Jeff?
What's going on, Jeff?
Jeff?
This
How's
is
it
it,
going,
guys. Oh,
You
it's
wanna-
been better.
brother? Crazy day.
Yeah,
Go for it, man.
definitely insane. Thanks for firing me off a message there. I was just out doing an IRL meeting, if you can believe that. So I came right home.
How did so what'd you think about the news today?
Yeah, we're doing first takes, Jeff.
Well, first of all, it's an incredible tragedy. It's a national tragedy. That this guy never harmed anybody. All he did was express his ideas. And I thought he was a shining beacon of hope for an entire generation of young people. I know that, I work with a lot of the young guys through my work with the People's Party. And some of these guys have been following Charlie Kirk since they were like 14 years old. So it's absolutely shameful. And I was trying to think on the way over, Nico, you'll know kind of where I'm going with this, I think, because you and I have talked about the fourth turning and Strauss-Howe generational theory previously. And I have to think, I'm trying to think now, when was the last assassination that we've seen where an old man shot a young man? When is the last time you can remember a political assassination like that?
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
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 That's a good point.
Yeah.
A quick
So
update, Jeff. We don't know who the shooter is right
Yeah,
now.
now
The guy
to that
arrested.
point-
That turns out that's not the shooter.
Oh, the guy that they arrested is not the shooter?
Correct.
Well,
That's
and,
come
and
out.
that brings up a whole interesting thing, because I believe that they do know he was shot from 200 yards away. And I mean, Jeff and Nico and anyone else here who's familiar with guns, that's a hell of a shot, 200 yards. You'd almost suggest some sort of training and professionalism there. And then
And it was a neck
disappear?
shot too. Like the shot, if you saw the close up, I can't show the video
Yeah.
here. YouTube is gonna ban it right off the bat. But
Yeah, I saw
the
it, yeah.
shot is right in the middle of jugular. The amount of
can't-
blood
you
that
can't improve
spattered, that was a
And then-
perfect shot. If
And
you
then
ask
to
me,
melt
that was
away into the
perfect.
crowd?
If that's what he was aiming for, it was perfect.
Yeah.
I would think that like, if he's a trained shooter, he's aiming center of mass.
He's aiming for
Yeah.
the head. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, he could have been aiming for the head. I think if he was a pro, he'd be aiming for the center mass.
Yeah, but he has a microphone. Don't forget that Charlie Kirk, when he does his events, he's sitting down at a table, and he often has something covering his chest. Like he'll often have a microphone, or he's holding a mic. So that's why I'm saying, like, in this setup, it was great, but he was an easy target as well because he doesn't move. If you've
Soft
ever
target,
watched
for sure.
Charlie Kirk, he stays there and he just talks, right? So
Yeah.
go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, if we're going to call it a perfect shot, we would have to know what he was aiming for. So,
Good call.
But it
yeah.
certainly was a kill shot because that
Certainly
wound
was a kill
opened fast.
yeah. So he could have been aiming for the head, and he could have been aiming center of mass in both cases. Like he probably would have been a little bit off target. If they're saying 200 meters away, like that's still a pretty damn good shot.
Yeah.
I fired from the 200-meter line though, and it's not something that's beyond the capacity of anybody who has a little bit of time on the range.
Yeah.
I've
I've made
usually
that shot hundreds of times.
Yeah, like the lowest standard in the military is like 100 meters. And if you're ever going to deploy anywhere, you're going to shoot from a 200-meter line. I mean, anywhere, that is even remotely dangerous. But yeah, so I don't think that we can really conclude that it was a pro. I think it's more likely it was a radical and somebody who spent a little time in the range.
Because
Yeah,
under
that's fair.
pressure, it's still a good shot. That's the thing, right? There's a
Yeah,
difference
there's pressure
between
involved
doing
too,
it
right?
at the gun range on
Yeah.
Sunday and doing it under pressure when it matters. I'm not saying that this mattered, but you know what I'm saying. Like, it was under pressure. This was not. It was. I don't know, man. I'm very curious to see if they're going to arrest anybody. I'm very curious if it's gonna the same thing is gonna happen that to the shooter that shot Donald Trump. Nothing happened, as in he kind of disappeared. We don't know more about him that we knew a week after he got shot, after he shot Trump. So I don't know if the same thing is gonna happen here. But I heard the same thing as you, Jeff, that the Jason, that the old man that everybody saw getting arrested was. That's why I'm not showing the videos, because supposedly it's not him. So
Yeah, the police, I think the update on that one is they haven't cleared him, but they cleared him as a shooter. And he was some crazy guy saying, shoot me, and
Yeah, he
I have the
acted
right to
like
remain silent.
he acted like he was involved. That's what I found so.
It could be an easy distraction too, right? As the other
Yes,
guy's
yeah.
getting away. Like this is the fog of war. This is the very beginning stages of what's happening here. So the information is usually going to change.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But Jeff, the last information I got is shooters on the loose. They don't know who it is yet.
Wow.
But the
Crazy,
question I
right?
have for you guys, because from my perspective, this is meaningful. Like, there's something very serious that's going to come out of what we just saw in the US. This is not just going to be forgotten tomorrow. I don't know
No.
what it is, but I got a gut feeling that there's something really bad coming our way. And I'm curious to the panel, the question is, what do you think that is? What do you think that means for the US and in Canada? Because don't forget, guys, on Saturday, on September 13th, there is a protest going on in Toronto as putting Canada first, and it's being quoted as being anti-immigration. And Tommy Robinson in the UK picked it up, so it seems like it's not a Canadian thing anymore. This is going to cross the world, it seems like. So I just want to ask you guys, what do you think that means for Canada and the US, what just happened, or what's been transpiring all week? Nepal, the government, the prime minister just quit. The French government was just they need to put another one. It was just dismantled. They need to put another one in. You have that Ukrainian girl that got stabbed in the bus this week, and then you have Charlie Kirk, and we're just Wednesday.
Wow.
So what do you guys think that means? I'll start with Rob at the top left.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely a tendency to try to almost make a connection between all of these things, just because it seems like there is a lot of these really newsworthy events in a short amount of time. And I think there probably is some connection between some, but like one event that we haven't discussed that I think is probably more related to what we saw today is this 6 or 7 AfD politicians out in Germany who have all been killed in the last couple of weeks. I think that, I don't know, it feels like we're coming to a boil, and I don't have any evidence to back this up. It's just my gut feel. It just feels like we're sitting on a powder keg. The UK feels like it, and to the extent that it's all somewhat connected, my personal take is that it is the end result of what we see, the tail end or late stage of 20 or 25 or 30 years of liberal cultural dominance. I think, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, a lot of these movements made sense, right? To me, the gay rights movement made sense. The civil rights movement, that made sense. But I think what happened is they got to their sweet spot, probably around the 90s. And normal people are like, great, war's won. In 2015, Bergefeld decided what J.D. Vance would call the normal gays, like, sweet, marriage equality, great. Let's go back to our lives. But then by then you've had these activists who have been built up, and they're in very cushy jobs, 6-figure jobs. They're ensconced. These are powerful activist groups. Basically, they're warriors. They didn't want the war to end, so they created new ones. They kept going, and they went and they fought battles in, say, issues like trans stuff, DEI stuff. They kept pushing on immigration long past any sort of sensible, reasonable policy. And it just, when you're forcing unpopular and bad policies, and bad policies come from bad politics, onto the public, eventually there's going to be a backlash. And you can only kick someone or something for too long before they lash back. And to me, it just feels like we're kind of at the beginning of that backlash. And I don't know if I should correct myself a little bit. Now that the culture has changed a little bit, we talk about mood shift, vibe shift all the time on this show. We talk about Donald Trump's election. I don't think that was the cause of this sort of shift away from woke left ideas. I think the left has lost some cultural dominance, but I think it was a symptom. I think it was a symptom of that. And I think the radical factions in the woke left, they feel their power starting to slip, and now they're really lashing out. And I think that's what we're seeing. But that's, I think, is going to potentially really kick off, kind of light the fuse on this powder keg we're all sitting at. And I don't know where we're going to go from this. And everything I'm saying here, I don't have any data or anything to back it up. This is just my gut feel based on how I'm reading the situation. But it does feel like we're in a very dangerous place right now, politically, all over the West too. And I think that's very interesting because it seems to be happening all over the West, almost simultaneously. And yeah, I don't necessarily think that's because there's, a couple powerful people pulling strings. I think it's because culturally the West is quite similar, and then the moral rot that infects one country will tend to infect the other ones as well. And it's all just the same dynamics at play. But that's my take. I'd like to hear from the rest of the panel.
Before I pass it on to Jason Levine, I just want to mention that I was pointing out events that are happening. I'm not saying that they're connected in any way.
Yes, no,
form.
understood.
All I'm showing is that throughout the world, there's something. It feels to me like there's a powder keg, and
yes.
We were talking about this yesterday. We're one spark away from seeing something extremely drastic happening. And was that it for the U.S.? That's basically what I'm trying to say, because it's a state of mind that you're seeing throughout the world. That's what I was pointing out. I'm not saying they're related, but goddamn, people are tired. This is what you're seeing. People are tired of the bullshit that comes from our governments, especially. So, Jason Levine, I'll go to you, then I'll go to Jason D.
Yeah, so a couple reports that are coming out now. The House in the U.S. wanted to have a moment of prayer for Charlie, and the Democrats booed and said no loudly. Wow. So you're having division right there on a political level.
Wow.
Yep.
Say it again.
And one of the quotes from Charlie was, "When the conversation ends," something along this lines, "when the conversation or the discussion can no longer happen, violence is the next step." And that's pretty obvious. That's likely where this is going to head. I don't know what the answer is to your question, Anika. What is happening to the U.S., whether or not the powder keg is still there, or this is the explosion to it. I definitely think that Trump, when he comes out with his statement soon, he's likely going to release, they're talking about Chicago with the National Guard. They're doing it in Washington. They're blowing up guys in the middle of international waters. They're bringing drugs. I think you're going to see an escalation for sure happen here. What that looks like, I don't know. But I still want to be very cautious here, because I have a lot of anger right now. And this is something I'm going through to try and understand, because I think that I'm supposed to. This is what it feels like. I'm supposed to be angry right now. So I'm trying to hold that back quite a bit, because I don't want to give the creators of this tragedy exactly what they're looking for. I do want to wait for a little bit more information to find out what's going on. But with the House Democrats booing and saying no to an attempt to just have a moment of prayer for Charlie, they're already making it political. You look at the media right now, it's disgusting right now. The mainstream media is disgusting. You look at online right now, I hope a lot of people are screenshotting a lot of this stuff and taking copies of these videos, because there's a lot of celebration going on right now. A man is dead, 31, 2 children. We all should be able to come together on that particular item right there. And he was killed in front of everybody. Cameras rolling all over the place. Mm-hmm. This is feeling like JFK a little bit to me, because the entire world's shocked right now. Like, holy smokes, this really happened. And it's going to take a couple more days for us to figure out where this is headed. I really hope that there isn't a bunch of people going to the streets causing havoc in retaliation in any way, shape, or form. That's the wrong move. That could be what they're trying to provoke. And I wouldn't be surprised if you find like stacks of bricks on corners all over the place in cities all over the place as they're trying to prepare another riot, another type of thing from either side. So I really want to be very cautious about that kind of stuff. And I know Donald's nodding his head there because we saw this with Black Lives Matters. There were pallets of bricks just dropped in the middle of cities all over the place. Who did that? Who paid for that? Who orchestrated that? We really don't have answers to that, but something bad's going on here. They don't have the shooter. This was a kill shot. And you're seeing it in the House of the US already, that they are dividing and they're fighting. So this is moving very quick.
And I'm sorry that I was laughing. I was not laughing at you, but yesterday we had a guy by the name of Adam Swart, which is the owner. He's the president of Crowd on Demands. So basically, he's the one that sends people to different parts of the country they're paid protesters. That's why. And the interview, bro, I lost my shit on him yesterday. Did not go well. What a sleazebag that guy was. But all to say that it's not an accident, and I'm sorry I wasn't laughing at what you're saying. I was laughing because of the guy we had on the show yesterday. And he's kind of showing, I don't want to, you know what, I'm going to stop there. Jason D, your thoughts?
Okay, Rob Ambrose had previously asked, what does this mean for free speech going forward, or the present to the future tense? And I think what's going to happen is people are not going to be so bold to say a lot. On a previous episode in the previous podcast, I remember telling Rob and Nico that if you want to find out who has the power, find out who you're not allowed to criticize, right? Mm-hmm. I got in hot water with COVID or whatever, and I have a sports podcast, so I eventually surrendered. I'm just talking about sports, right? YouTube, we weren't allowed to talk about Ukraine, if you remember that. Yeah. The Israeli, whatever you may think of it, the Israeli genocide in Gaza. If you talk about that, you're going to get censored. So something Charlie was always a conservative commentator, and he was always pretty safe, but maybe something happened the last 6 months that made him anti-establishment to what even his own party desires, right? And we could talk about Marxist Leninists all we want, but that knows no party, because our free speech has been taken away from us during the Biden administration. Our free speech has been taken away from us during the Trump administration, which, by the way, was one of the reasons I was glad he was elected. I was like, free speech is here again, right? And I think, to answer Rob's question, I think people are going to be very, very careful and choose their words that go against the establishment, or B, already assume the risk and say, hey, I want to do this. And I want to land by saying, asking Nico, do you think this guy, though not a hero to me, do you think he was one of the first political orphans?
100%.
Kirk?
If I have to look at it from the perspective, this show, would I have thought of this show if Charlie Kirk didn't do what he did years before me? Maybe not. Hard to tell, but the type of stuff we do here is exactly what he was doing. So to say that he wasn't an influence would be a lie. And I was a fan, bro. Like, there's a lot of stuff that he said that I was like, oh, stop being an ass. Like, he could be an asshole to people.
Sure.
Because but at the same time, he's debating kids. So how many insults are you going to take from people before you snap at them too? So at one point, you got to give him credit. He was a lot more patient than I could be. But at the same time, he started this thing. And this is what blows my mind is he lived for civil discourse. Like him, don't like him, agree with him or not, you cannot dispute that there was nobody else doing what he was doing 5 years ago when he started doing it, even if it's not more than 5 years ago. How many events has he organized that are conservative events, not Republican events, conservative events where he's putting panels? Jason Levine, you and I covered one of them together, where he put great people, and I think that's where I met Jeff Evely, actually. And he made great panels. He organized those events because, in my opinion, at least from my perspective, he seemed that he cared. He was trying to give a voice to the conservatives, and I would love to see how much he's actually impacted the youth movement. Because you look in Canada right now, they say that the 18 to 24 has never been more conservative. And I'm telling
Yeah,
you,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
because of guys like him. It's because of a Charlie Kirk that has 20, 30, 40 million followers. He impacted those youth to say it's okay to be a conservative. Don't be scared to be a conservative. But to go back to what you were saying, Jason, it's going to be two things. Either people are going to go into hiding or people are going to come up like this. You want to play that game, motherfucker? We're going to start carrying open. I'll have a security force with open carry. We're not going to conceal anymore. We'll open it, please. And I believe the second's going to happen before the first one. But Jeff Evely, what do you think?
Well, perspective, I think, is everything. But yeah, it is a global crisis. And Nico, you and I have talked about this before, but we're in a fourth turning, and we have been since 2008. It's been 81 years since D-Day. 81 years before that was Gettysburg, and 82 years before that was the colonial triumph at Yorktown, the climactic battle of the American Revolution. So this is the year that the fourth turning climaxes. Within the next year, I would say the fourth turning climaxes, and that's what we might be looking at now. It is a global crisis. The real revolution is generational. It is a matter of the baby boomers hanging on to peak institutional power all over the world. And the transition that we're experiencing is demographic. It's a matter of natural attrition with the baby boomers moving into retirement and Gen X coming up to replace them at peak institutional power, and they're not letting go. They really like this power, and this is the same thing that happens once a human lifetime. It's always the generation born in the wake of the previous major crisis, the last one being World War II, when they reach peak institutional power through natural attrition. That's when the tyranny really sets in. So it is temporary. I like to always highlight that. We are expected to come out of it somewhere between 2030 and 2032, I think, are the best estimates right now. So we do have a ways to go. This is the climax, so hopefully it's not going to get any worse than what we see in the next year or so, but I would expect rolling blackouts and food shortages to be on the way. And so that's why we see these same trends globally all over the world, is because this has been happening. This has been going on since we were hunter-gatherers. The thing that I would say in terms of what comes next and the kind of backlash that we should expect, there's no such thing as a right-wing riot. Like, go try and find a right-wing riot. Now, people will say Charlottesville, but it was Trantifa that showed up there with the billy clubs and the brass knuckles and all of that stuff, right? And a schizophrenic man who ran down one woman in a fit of rage, something like that. So there is no such thing as a right-wing riot, and it is, everybody's always talking about how the right is all armed up and just wait till the shooting starts, because we're the ones with the trigger discipline. But that is the key word, is discipline. So I think that on the right, there's much more appreciation for the fact that cooler heads must prevail in all of this. We tend to be the law and order side, not the woke mob side, out for vengeance and blood. So it is, a Republican president and Congress and Senate. So I can see the Democrats, booing and being their usual awful, evil selves. But I don't think that's going to result in people taking to the streets. And who would leave those piles of bricks for them anyway? It's not like George Soros is going to cart in piles of bricks for right wingers so they can go on a rampage. We're not exactly known for arson. We're not exactly known for rioting. So I think that right now, the temperature is at its highest, and we got to stay frosty and keep those cool heads about us, so that it doesn't go all the way to a civil war. And Charlie's a Christian, so he would have been all about turn the other cheek. And I think that is there are a lot of lessons that can be taken from Christianity here in this particular instance. And there's a reason why I couldn't be an atheist in anything but a Christian country. And it is the Christian countries that are all the freest and the most respectful of human dignity, and so on and so forth. So I think that you've got a very Christian country in the United States. They already have 2 civil wars when you include the revolution. So I think that there's that revolutionary history that really inspires them to stand up to tyranny, not just in their country but around the world. But also there is, I think, some civil war fatigue that comes along with that too. So I'm actually optimistic that perhaps this is the time for the right to shine and really set the example and be the better people. I think that is how we win at the end of the day. It's the other side that we got to win over. They're obviously completely deranged. And if we can just kind of class this one up and take the high road, I think it'll show a lot of people that maybe aren't all the way to derangement, this is a real, a real turning point in history, and perhaps you're on the wrong side.
Donald?
No atheists in a foxhole.
Yeah, that's right.
I was in 2.
Yeah.
Donald, your opinion?
Well, if Charlie Kirk had a phrase, it was probably something like, let's talk about it, change my mind.
Yeah.
And that just is the example that he set. He wasn't violent. He didn't call for violence. He was the original leader that said, we can talk about this, left, right, in between, we can talk about this. But they assassinated him today. Was it some one-off crazy person? Or was it something right out of the Marxist playbook that we've seen to destabilize society? Now, look, the Marxists want to destabilize society because then they can introduce a strong savior. Okay, that's been their playbook all along. But have the globalists picked up on this? Are they fomenting civil war? And you're so right, gentlemen. We must not take the bait. But let's look at Ireland, where their government has made decisions that are obviously so against the general good of the Irish people. They're bringing in tens of thousands, great percentage of their population, of single-age military men without women, from societies that denigrate women, from societies that are violent, from societies that don't even have basic hygiene. And they're bringing them in. The government of Ireland is bringing them in. In Canada, we had something like 3 or 4 million people in the last 3-4 years on temporary visas, most from India. Nothing to do with this country. They've taken over all sorts of jobs. The government is subsidizing Canadian businesses to fire Canadians and hire temporary foreign workers. The United States, the border was open for so long. England, oh my goodness, we can't even talk about London. So all of this and all of the things that are happening, do we really believe they're organic? When the phrase woke right surfaced about a year ago, do you know that had never been heard before, and it went around in the world in about 12 hours. I mean, it's just so, and it really didn't take, but they gave it a shot. So, as I keep on saying, I used to be a conspiracy theorist, but I've run out of them because every conspiracy I ever believed in has been proven to be true. So, we look at this happening all over the world, as you mentioned, all of these incidents, all of the governments that are betraying their own population by replacing the population with foreigners that have nothing to do with the culture. That's happening all over the world. They're even trying it in Japan. Okay. Yeah. So you can either say it's all organic, or you can stand back and say, maybe there is a plan here. And if that plan involves fomenting civil war, I'm not buying into it. I'm going to stay frosty, as Jeff said. I'm going to stay frosty. But, I'm going to lock that door every night. And I have a right to defend my family.
Absolutely.
I have a right to defend my society and to speak up. And Charlie's assassination will not stop me. It'll make me speak more, louder. Because if we don't address this, if we just try and, patch it over, everything that happens for years, we've patched it over. No, I recognize it for what it is. And I'm going to stand against it. And, they can kill Charlie, they can kill me. I hope everybody just keeps on saying that which they don't want us to say.
Well, they can't kill all of us, right?
No.
Guys, we are, of course, talking about the Charlie Kirk assassination today. Nico, did you have some news that just came in?
Yeah, well, I saw a post in the comments saying that Cash just confirmed, and the post is right here. So the suspect of the horrific shooting today that took the life of Charlie Kirk is now in custody. So it seems
so. That'll be really interesting. Hopefully, that comes out while we're still at least just related
and
to
I
that.
encourage, but before you do, I encourage the
ahead.
people in the comment section, if you do see an update, because I'm trying to keep aware of everything that's going here, and I'm looking for updates at the same time. So if you do see an update like Bart Velo
from Bardaville,
Bart Velo, so
thank you for that, sir.
Let us know, because I'm monitoring the chat as well, and I will find those updates and I will show them on screen. So go ahead, Rob, and then I got another question for the panel.
Yep, guys, we are here talking, of course, about the events of today with Charlie Kirk. We've got a pretty good panel here. As always, guys, this show is about audience engagement. So that's your questions. Obviously, with this many people, we're not going to be able to take quite as many, but we will get to some of them, especially as events become a little more clear. Nico's going to give an update here on some news. But if you're watching the show and you want to support us, please remember to like and share the stream. If you really want to support the show, if you want to support what Nico and I are doing here, trying to create a space where the left and the right, common sense people from all over can come together and have these kind of discussions. And I think the events of today have really shown how important that is. Please consider becoming a member. You can do that for the low price of $2.99 a month through YouTube, and that will allow us to continue to bring this high quality content to you. And before you go, Nico, I just wanted to add one quick point to what Jeff was saying, about the boomers, because that'll be really interesting to see who this suspect is. First of all, you remember the guy they brought in earlier? I assumed you brought that up because he's clearly a boomer. And that is kind of the thoughts that I had. Now I was doing some Googling as you're talking. Apparently, as he was being led away, he was yelling, "I'd do it again." So I kind of feel like this guy is connected in some way, even if he wasn't the shooter, as Jason Levine said, perhaps a distraction. But it occurred to me as I was watching this earlier today, when I thought he was the shooter, it seems like liberal boomers seem to be the most radicalized group in society today. And that's really shocking. And it also occurs to me at the same time, and I don't think this is a coincidence, that they're the only demographic that continues to primarily consume mainstream media as their news source. I think there's a direct connection between those two things. And I think, as you said, it's so bizarre to have older people assassinating younger people. Now, that guy wasn't a shooter, so, grain of salt with that. But it'll be very interesting to see if this is the trend that develops. And if so, I think, to Jason Levine's point, the media has to certainly look in the mirror and ask themselves some hard questions, but you can make a real strong case they've got blood on their hands right now.
If the Democrats are already booing the demand or the suggestion that we take a moment of silence for somebody that was just assassinated, that tells you exactly where the spirit of the Democrat Party is. And that's obviously here in Canada, in Canada, we don't have a right-wing mainstream media. All we have is the left. So that tells you right there where the mind's in Canada. Yep. But at the same time, Jeff, you said something important. That's the question I want to remind people, or I want to ask the panel, is once again, it looks like it's going to be up to the right to be cool about it. Yeah. It always, over the past few years, if you look over the past 10 to 15 years, it seems it's always on the right, on the conservative. When I say right, I'm not saying Republican. I'm talking about conservative people. It's on the conservatives to be more lightheaded, or to just be a cooler head and say, hey, guys, we cannot become violent with this. Because I said this yesterday about the September 13th protest that's happening in Toronto now across the world. Guys, don't be violent at those protests. I've been to so many protests. If you're gonna show up there to protest. Don't let the counter protester take you off your game, because we know this is gonna happen. So what do you think is the proper reaction right now for the conservatives? I want to ask the conservative, what do you think the conservatives should do? And the leftists, what you guys, your side, should do. I'll play devil's advocate and play somewhere in the middle. Sure. But Jason, Levine, go for it.
Take names, take videos, take screenshots of the reaction of some people that are despicable. Go back and take a look at maybe if somebody was enticing this, encouraging this. It starts the investigation, data collection, evidence collection stages right now. And let's go ahead and just wait as they out themselves, because I think Donald was kind of right about maybe there's a camp up north. I don't mean literally, start grouping them up and put them in a camp, but this is data and evidence collection stage, including the ones online that are celebrating this. Whether they're canceled or something like that, I don't know. I'm not thinking that far ahead, but we definitely, I think, should be taking the high road. I agree with that statement. We shouldn't be taking to the streets. That's not going to solve a darn thing. But let's collect as much information as we can and let these people express their opinions, but let's not forget it. So screenshot, record, make some lists about people who are celebrating this at this stage, and rewind the tape a bit and see who was kind of provoking and pushing this along. One thing I do want to highlight while we're doing this, a little segment here, is nobody on this screen is in the 30 or 20 age group. But here's a post that I think is going to kind of reflect a lot of people's opinion. The first person to reach out to me with the news was my 18-year-old son. Charlie Kirk was a role model for my kids and for youth across the country. He made an incredible impact on at such a young age. So this was a shot also at the young people. So if you're a young conservative, this was meant to freak you out, upset you. This was a shot at you. And I do think that that's something that we have to kind of digest over the coming days as well. This wasn't necessarily a shot on conservatives. This was a shot at young conservatives. And I also have that video of the House ready to go if you want to share that.
Of which one?
Of the House and their reaction to the request for a prayer.
Oh, yeah.
I would love to see it. I was looking for it. I couldn't find it.
Yeah, I got to see that.
Go ahead there, Jason. It should come up here in a second.
What purpose did the gentlelady from Colorado rise? Let's wait a minute. The House will be in order. 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 We will join prayer right after this, okay? What purpose is the gentlelady from...
So that's it. So this was when the news wasn't out that he died. This was when he was still in the hospital. And I think it was a Colorado member stood up to ask for the moment of prayer. And he heard at the end, he said, we'll do the prayer after. But you could also hear the no's and the frustration and that the House was not in order as they were responding to the request for prayer while he was in the hospital in critical condition.
Disgusting.
This is absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. Thanks for the video, because I was looking for it earlier and I couldn't.
Yeah, it's in our backstage if you want to jump in there.
Yeah, and we'll continue that counterclockwise, you think? If Donald wants to go,
I was going to ask a lefty after I ask a righty, but all to say that, Jason, what do you think is the responsibility of the left after this? Because right now, I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed by the people that are celebrating this, because a man lost his life. Like, at the end of the day, somebody lost his life. And once again, the left doesn't... Same thing when there was an assassination attempt on Trump. How many people celebrated that? And yeah, Jason, let us know what you think as a lefty. What's the responsibility of the left right now?
Before I speak for the left, I think I need to be explicit when I say I am someone that was not happy Trump won, but was absolutely elated that Harris lost. So, I mean, I might be, this lefty representing the left and this and that, but it's very, very important because right now, my conservative counterparts have clearly marked a line in the sand on where conservative values are, and that this is a moral thing, and that and it makes it sound all the lefties are kind of lumped in together. Like on the video that this guy showed himself, all of the lefties who are the biggest mouths, Maxine Waters was in that picture, AOC was in that picture, and none of them were booing. None of them said anything like that. So if you want to preach togetherness and you want to say don't bite the bait, don't fucking start by being tribalist. Oh, the woke left. Oh, don't know where woke right come from. Oh, by the way, a fucking man got shot in the neck, okay? When JFK got shot, we had a bunch of Republicans saying, good for that motherfucker, this and that, right? When Martin Luther King got shot, oh, that nigger had it coming, right? So it's one of those things where there's always going to be bait. And to Donald Best's credit, stick to your values and don't bite the bait. And if your values happen to be conservative values, if your values happen to be the things of Jesus and Orthodox Christianity, that's a hell of a place to start, right? Even the biggest atheist can look at a book and be like, wait, don't kill nobody, don't cheat on your wife, don't steal shit. Take one day of the week and do nothing. I'm good at doing nothing. Rob, you good at doing nothing? I'm totally fucking frigid, right? So you can stick to your conservative values without being fucking tribalist about it. I understand two things can be true at the same time, but there's a priority of one over the other, and that's God. If we are God people like we say we are, and I'll end with that.
Oh, Nico, your mic. I don't. Jeff, did you want to answer the question? Then I'll go, and then we'll jump over to Donald to.
Just before you go, all I was going to say is, as a Christian, and I know Charlie was one, there's no way he would be preaching violence right now if he was not at the receiving end. If he was just somebody else looking at this, he'd be the first one to say, we cannot respond to this in a violent way. That's not the Christian way, and this is the only thing I can tell people is there's no point about being violent right now because that goes against what the Bible tell you. Yeah, it's all good, bro. Jeff, go for it, man.
Well, I'll refer you back to what Saul Alinsky said in Rules for Radicals. Their reaction is our real action, as in they will continue to provoke us until we react, and then that is the part that makes the news, right? So we have the radical, and that is, Rules for Radicals. He would have been Saul Alinsky would have been one of Barack Obama's mentors, as well as Hillary Clinton. So very active. I would say that his thinking is quite pervasive in the boomer generation that is on the editorial boards for the media. And that is that kind of feedback, I think, that was mentioned already, where we have that generation that is the one that is still kind of solely focused on the TV news. But they're also the generation that is the editorial board, so it's their editorial perspective, and it's hearkening back to a lot of this radicalism that we saw in the 70s. Don't forget that Barack Obama was a member of Weather Underground, and another one of his mentors would have been, his name's escaping me right now, but he was convicted of a bombing there.
Bill Ayers.
Bill Ayers, thank you.
Yeah. Which they gave him a pardon for, by the way. Him, his associates. Bill Clinton gave him a pardon.
Yeah, well, and Bill, don't get me started on Bill Clinton, right? The Clinton body trail hashtag. So their reaction is our real action. They're expecting a reaction right now, and if we react violently, the media is going to frame it in a way as if the violence originates on the right, and it is the right who is aggressive, because that's what they're always trying to do. They're always trying to frame us up like that. Don't take the bait. Don't play into that game. And I think if you do, then you're betraying the memory of Charlie Kirk, because this is a man who just died for his country, who preached nonviolence and continuing conversation. Because, I'm pretty sure he would have said something along the lines is where the conversation and debate break down, that's where the violence seeps in. And I know I've been saying that for a number of years myself. So Right now, we have an opportunity, like I said, to take the highest road possible, set an example. And I think that, like I said, there are a lot of people out there on the left who are not all the way to mass formation Trump derangement syndrome. And if we, if we can just be that light, then I think a lot of them will start to come around and realize that much of what they've been fed is just propaganda about us, at least anyway. So, here's hoping for that. I think that's our best hope.
Before I go to Donald, Rob, you want to go?
Yeah. To the question, sort of, what is, I guess, the left's responsibility? I mean, obviously, all the things that Jason said, I'll agree. Like, obviously, we can't, we have to. Everyone has to, oppose political violence. That's sort of the low hanging fruit. That is, it is what it is. I had some thoughts that occurred to me today as this sort of stuff happened. I'm watching the reaction of many people on the left. Certainly not everyone, right? There are definitely a lot of decent, reasonable, common sense people on the left who are not celebrating this violence, but there's a disturbingly large number who are. And it almost reminded me, like, if you're a regular viewer of the show, you'll know that pretty common theme is all the conservatives trying to pull me to the right, and be like, why, you sound so common sense. Why are you even a conservative? Or why aren't you're just a conservative, basically, just come to the dark side, right? We have cookies and that kind of stuff. And we had this chat last week, and I forget who it was, Nico, you'll probably remember. And he had asked me, I think it was also with Jason, and we were talking about this. We were talking about in the context of religion, though. And I said, I'm not a Christian, but I have a lot of issues with the way Christians are treated, just for my sense of unfairness. And he said, okay, you're not a Christian. He's like, but do you consider yourself a cultural Christian? And I had to think about it for a second. And I was like, I probably do. I think culturally, I identify with a lot of the values called Judeo-Christian. What Jason said earlier is like, you don't have to be a Christian to read the Bible and be like, oh yeah, don't murder your wife. Don't steal, or not don't murder your wife. Don't murder at all. Don't sleep with someone else's wife. Don't steal. Also, don't murder your wife. That would be ideal. All these things. And if you look at those, those 10 commandments, only one is really overtly religious, right? Probably, thou shalt not have other gods before me. The rest are just how you build a civilization, how you build a society, a polite and decent society. So in that context, I think I would consider myself absolutely a cultural Christian, even though I am belief-wise would be considered an atheist. And so bringing us back to what we're talking about today, there definitely, I had some thoughts like, man, do I even want to be part of this? Like, do I even consider myself the left or a liberal when I look at this? But, another thing we often talk about is, I believe that the best way to structure society is to have a sane left and a sane right, the sane common sense left and right debating the issues. Exactly what me and Nico do on the show every day. This show is an attempt to model that. And so I consider myself on that part right there. There are some sane, reasonable, common sense lefties, liberals like me and Jason D here, and we're occupying this very lonely patch of high ground. And I just think it would be, even though I could imagine myself going to the right and becoming a conservative, I just think it's smarter to defend this piece of ground that I think we need to occupy. Like, why would I leave the common sense left if I think we need a common sense left and go to the right? And now there's only the crazies over here. So to tie it all together to what I was just talking about with cultural Christianity, I am on the left, I am a liberal, and there are definitely some issues and positions. We don't talk much about this show, but if we did, you would see me probably more clearly as a liberal. But I think in a lot of ways, I probably identify or would consider myself a cultural conservative or a culturally on the right. And I mean that more, not necessarily politically, but just temperamentally, at least the way the right and the left is structured today, right now. It is the left that is engaged in most or all of the political violence. It is the left that is the enemy of free speech. It is the left that is refusing to, that is becoming increasingly authoritarian. It's the left no one's getting arrested for tweeting out opposition to right-wing narratives, over in the UK, but they're sure arresting a whole lot of people for tweeting out opposition to left-wing narratives. So, that's my take on it. What should the left be doing? We should be completely reforming and restructuring not even necessarily our political takes, but our whole mindset, the whole culture of the left is the problem right now. Will that happen? Yeah, who knows? But
I meant him more as in a direct reaction to Charlie Kirk's event, is what I mean. Like, as a Christian,
yeah.
what
So
I
I
would
mean,
love to see.
directly, we should be. I'll briefly add this. We should
Yeah,
be obviously decrying political violence and all that, but not in the generic sort of perfunctory way that you are seeing the few that are speaking out against it, in an actual genuine heartfelt way that shows you're actually outraged about this. It's a real sad indictment of the left when the most heartfelt, genuine tweet or thing I heard about today came from Gavin Newsom. So I mean, be that as and I don't even think that's praising Newsom for anything. I think that's really more shitting on the rest of the left, that Newsom is the best, the one, because he had what felt like at least somewhat of an actual, genuine, heartfelt opposition to what happened today.
But they've met, right? They've recorded some content.
Oh, that's right.
Was
Yeah.
on. Gavin Newsom had Charlie Kirk on his podcast. So as much as I dislike that man, he still had a conversation with him. And again, that's the type of man Charlie Kirk was. And, for the people out there that don't create content, that don't put themselves in front of that crowd, you must understand that what Charlie Kirk was doing is hard. Like, I just recorded about a month ago, I was flown to San Francisco to go debate a lesbian mother because I don't think they should be allowed to raise children. They shouldn't be allowed to adopt. That's my take on it. But I was brought in as the crazy conservative to debate a leftist on a debate ran by a leftist. But this is the position that we need to take, right? For our word to be heard, just like Charlie Kirk, we need to go to hostile territory every single time, and the left doesn't experience that. Because I would love to have leftists here. I've reached out to so many people on both sides of the equation when it comes to subject like, let's call climate change, for example, because that's one I would love to have a real debate with somebody like Judith Curry and somebody on the left that doesn't think that she should have a voice. I've contacted them all. Anybody that has an audience that knows how to put their thoughts together will not come on that show. And this is what happens to me every day that I reach out. I tried to get lawyers to come on the show to explain why they support.
Oh, Nico,
You lost your mic, Nico.
Yeah, it seems like it just happened as Curtis jumped in. So I wonder if that's
Slightly after Curtis.
Yeah,
he's good.
You're back.
Yeah, all I was going to say is that we always have to fight them. It's always on their terms. We have to go to hostile territory. So I just want people out there to understand this was not easy. Like Charlie Kirk or not, what he did was brave as shit. And he did it when nobody else was doing it. And he didn't have a security when he started. Like now, he had guys there because people got violent around him. But and he's a scrawny guy. He's like 6'2", 140 pounds, soaking wet. He ain't fighting anybody. He's not gonna be pushing people around and kicking. No, he wasn't. He's not like me. He's not kicking asses. He was there to debate people. I just want the people out there, and the left especially. The left is not doing what Charlie Kirk was doing.
There's no liberal Charlie Kirk out there.
There's no liberal Charlie Kirk that's
they just cancel you.
My point exactly.
Fire you from your job. Cut you off from
Curtis, welcome on the show, Curtis. Love your haircut. I'm happy Donald's here. Somebody with hair, at least. One person with hair.
Bald is beautiful, boys.
So, Curtis, we'll give you the stage. Tell us what went through your mind when you saw the announcement that Charlie Kirk has not only been shot, but has been assassinated.
Dude, it's well, thanks for having me, gentlemen.
And you can swear here, by the way.
Okay, good.
Fuck. There you go. It's out of the way. You can tell us how you really feel.
Well, I was disgusted. It's crazy because I've actually been taking a break from social media, and but these still come. Well, actually, it was texted to me. A good buddy of mine texted me. And then I heard it from my sister-in-law, and then I heard it, it's like you hear about these things. But I was talking this morning before I just found this out this afternoon. I was talking this morning about this this murder that happened on the train, right, in North Carolina. That brutal, innocent Ukrainian girl killed by the black dude on the subway. And I was kind of, just reflecting on how insane society is and how violent it is. At the same time, also being thankful that Canada doesn't have the level of violence that they do in the United States, not even per capita, but that's changing. And then I hear about this Charlie Kirk thing, and I saw the clip, and I was disgusted. I didn't agree with Charlie Kirk on everything, but who does? Who agrees with everybody on everything? If you agree with everybody on everything, you got a problem. Mm-hmm. He kind of pissed me off in some ways, but that aside, it's horrifying. And I think this is I was talking to my friend John Bush, who's down in Texas this morning, and he said, and this is before the Charlie Kirk thing, he's like, I think things are going to start popping off here. And then we were going back and forth about that this morning, and then here we are. The Charlie Kirk thing happens. This is getting crazy, and I can't help but feel that assassination was orchestrated at a fairly high level because of the accuracy of that shot. And I don't know any of the details. I just saw that's a pretty accurate shot to hit somebody right in the jugular, and that's a lot of blood quick. I think there's going to be more to this story as this pans out, but it's we're in a pretty dark place, man. And it's why I've been taking a break from social media, because at this point I kind of feel like there's so much wrong in the world, and it's been this way for so long that I don't need the latest headline to be more affirmed in my view of that. I don't, there's a lot of issues that I think are the core of why our society is the way it is and why it's going to continue going the way it is. And that, unfortunately, the Charlie Kirk thing is the latest horrendous story in, I think, a long chain of events that are about to unfold, because North American society, Western society, what have you, is completely divided, and it's been engineered that way. I believe it's been engineered that way because they don't want there to be a critical mass. The establishment doesn't want there to be a critical mass of people coming together, which is where I think we need to be. We need to get a lot of people together to say, instead of this left-right thing, it's more like an up-down thing, really. Mm-hmm. That's really what we're talking about. There is a very few amount of people who are basically at the center of central banking and printing money that essentially can manifest anything they like because they can print money. And so to be constantly in the weeds, arguing in the media space and not discussing, how about these fucking guys up here who print money and get everything they want no matter what, and they can there's no limit to their influence because they print the fucking money. And so I think this is fundamentally, until humanity starts to say that, nothing is going to change. But you know what? Go back not that long ago. Go back to when Occupy Wall Street was going down. I was right there paying attention to all that. They were marching on the Federal Reserve Bank when it started. Okay? And then about a week later, it turned into, we the 99%. It was psyoped. It was co-opted. And this is what happens every time. And all of these things, and it's horrible what happened to Charlie Kirk. It's disgusting, horrible. A guy with 2 children. It's sickening. It makes me sick to my stomach. But if people don't really start keeping their eye on the prize, who are these fucking people that have the authority to print money endlessly, until that gets addressed, nothing is fundamentally going to change. It's always going to be the same, running around the berry bush, doing the same old thing. They're going to keep the same psyops because they can keep paying for them because they're printing the money. So I think fundamentally that's where there needs to be a unifying conversation that says, until that changes, nothing is going to change. We're just going to go into the next revolution, and it's a new boss, same as the old boss. So that's my 2 cents on that.
Right. Before you got on the show, I actually said, and this might have been before Russell Donald came on, if you want to find out who has the power, find out who you're not allowed to talk about. Exactly. And I think somewhere in the last 6 months or 9 months, like Charlie Kirk is a conservative, but he may have said something anti-establishment. Like he's an America First guy, right? So if he says like our money shouldn't be going to Ukraine, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, but
Or,
he's hardcore pro-Israel, right? I
Yeah.
mean, and I don't want
is he?
to.
Yeah. Oh, he is a
Oh,
Zionist. Yeah.
he's a complete Zionist, and that. But you know what? I can put that aside with anybody. Human life is far more important than a guy's opinion on
Right.
on Israel. And so I don't want to delve into the weeds on that. But
No,
you
me
know
neither.
but that was an issue. You know, that was a big thing, because before October 7th happened with that last little Israeli psyop, I actually saw a lot of unity happening in the conservative movement across the world. And it seemed to me like that event, and I'm not saying this was this, but it just seemed to me like there was a lot of unity. And then that event completely was like a scatter bomb in the conservative movement, because it just, any discussion of Israel divides the left and the right. It divides people on the left amongst their ranks, and it divides people on the right amongst their ranks. And I've seen that happen many times, because I've been paying attention to geopolitics for 20 plus years. And I've seen it because I used to be on the left. And so I saw it there too, where any discussion of Israel would divide people. And so, you know, the Turning Point USA, the PragerU, all these guys, they really divided the right in a way. And October 7th, from what I can see, was the marker for that. So here we are again. We're getting divided again.
Nico, if I may, I think it divided the right.
But before you do, there's just an update.
Sorry.
Jason Levine has a
I'm so
video
sorry,
that
guys.
he wanted to show, so we'll take you afterwards. But Jason, go ahead.
Thanks. Sorry, Jake. Go ahead.
Yeah. Things are moving quick, and there's some video. Again, this is pretty early, so take it with a grain of salt. But the internet works quick, so this could be some video of the shooter on top of the roof here.
Oh wow!
So this was before the shooting. So what we have there is somebody up there. Okay, I got another video here for you. This is right at the shooting, and I'll have to pause it so you can see where the guy is running across the rooftop. So the shooting just happened. You see everybody crouching down, and if you look really closely up here, you see somebody running across the rooftop.
Go back.
It's hard to see. Like, you're gonna have to zoom in.
Right
But
there.
you look here.
If you just
Right
drag
there.
it, Jason,
He's right there.
that's probably the best way. Just drag
He's
it with
right
your-
above my finger here, right in the cloud there.
Okay.
The little dot there.
Oh yeah.
Watch that spot. Running across rooftop.
Uh-huh.
Shit.
And then somebody put together the grounds. So Charlie was down here. That part of the roof is up here, and that's where you're getting your 200 meters from.
That's a
So
lot of
again,
work
this
for
is
Charlie Kirk, man. Whoa.
this is early. This is early. We don't know who that was, but that wouldn't be the guy that was arrested quickly.
No.
And if the FBI now saying somebody's in
No.
custody now, they may have found this guy or whoever that was. But I just want to share that information. The internet's working quick. This is all early stuff. But there's a video. It looks like somebody crouched, a guy running, and they put together this little map of where he was and where that rooftop is.
It seems like a lot of work for Charlie Kirk. Again, this
Yeah,
is what
exactly.
this is what blows my mind the most about this whole thing is, of all people, really, Charlie Kirk's the guy you go after of all.
But dude,
people
think
on
about
the-
it.
Yes,
Just but if
look
you
at
think
the
about what
reaction.
just happened, though, look what just happened with that Ukrainian girl. Like they want whites to get, the establishment want whites to lose it, because rightfully so. We've been shit on for 50 years, told not to have kids. Meanwhile, they're pumping all of the Western countries full of brown immigrants. I mean, they want the whites to get nuts so that they can strawman us and say, look at the racists. So I think this is part of that same agenda. That it's all connected to that Ukrainian girl who was murdered on that train. People are getting pissed. And now Charlie Kirk, who's a very strong symbol in the alternative conservative movement, is people are going to be pissed. And this is what they want.
And I agree with you.
Christian too. Remember the shooting at the children in the Christian too, right?
Exactly. With the trans shooter. Yeah.
Just quickly take this this comment here from Jonathan Tush. He says the old man that was detained near the stage was decoy. He has to be connected. He's yelling, "I do it again," and it's being dragged away, which again means a conspiracy. I don't mean like conspiracy theory. I mean like the legal definition of conspiracy, right? A coordinated effort by at least two people. So that suggests, as you said, Nico, like a lot of work, right? Like this is
Mhm.
whether, I don't know if they are officially professional as in their actual, special forces guys or what have you. But if you want to describe professionals, like some guys who actually kind of know what they're doing to some extent and are putting real effort in. This isn't necessarily just a whack job who went there with a gun in his pocket and got close enough to pull the trigger, right? Like there's some planning behind this. I see, Jeff, I see you shaking your head. Like, what do you mean? Like, are you disagreeing with the premise that there was, let's assume that those videos are correct and we did see the shooter and the shooter did shoot from that spot. Do you think just an amateur could just pull this off?
You're muted.
You're muted, Jeff.
Yeah. And I don't mean a professional, like, an Illuminati.
I mean, yes,
or
definitely.
like that.
Yeah, definitely an amateur could pull that off. A little bit of time on the range, and I'm going to resign to be content to attribute it to radicalism before I leap to the conclusion that this was something perpetrated by the U.S. government or a foreign power or anything like that. I think it's probably radicalism, and that is kind of the thread that binds this killing and the one on the sub or the transit station there with the Ukrainian girl, and communism, essentially Marxism across the board. I think. Now, I don't want to leap to any conclusions. I don't want to get over my skis. I don't have any details that anybody else does. And I really hate to speculate when it's so early in the fog of war. But Charlie has had, and I think he was actually answering a question about the trend of trans shooters at the time that he got shot. So we do have this problem with radicalism. I'm not saying that I have any details that says that it was another trans shooter, but because I don't. But these are possibilities that are definitely on the table that I would want to make sure that I eliminate before I start digging into any kind of like a foreign power or pros getting involved. I think the radicalism is enough to explain it. And it's the same thing with the black on white violence, right? It's the same thing. It's a Marxist narrative that we've indoctrinated, not me personally, but people have been indoctrinated into to view whites in particular, whites and male, straight white cis heteropatriarchs as being at the peak of the oppression pyramid. And when you're on top, everybody's trying to tear you down. So I don't see a need to go all the way to any kind of a professional job when we have so much radicalism in the mix already.
Well, we don't know until we have the answers, anyways, right? I
do have to duck out, guys. I'll make that my final. I'm going to run away before you can refute me. And thanks for inviting me in.
Well said, sir. Well said.
Thanks for being on, John.
Go ahead and trash me while I'm not here to defend myself. Thanks a lot,
we
guys.
would do it in your face.
We're
not too worried about it.
Now that he's gone, let's really talk, guys.
Yeah. Now that Jeff's gone.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jeff, for popping on.
Enjoy.
Appreciate that one.
Yeah.
All right.
Appreciate the time, Jeff.
Take care, brother.
Hey, look, I'd like to say a few words about
just before you do, Donald. I just wanted to ask something to the panelists. It seems that I think we can all agree that it is on the right to do the right thing. Like the reaction is what matters in this case. Now, do you guys agree with Curtis? And I would say that I agree with him that this is orchestrated to pin us against one another. Like they are trying to create a singular event that will allow them to take the next step, which is martial law, for example, start doing like they did in Barrie yesterday. They declared an emergency so that the mayor can give himself more power. Like, let's be honest here, this is what a state of emergency is. So does somebody on this panel disagree with this?
I think I don't think Donald got a shot to answer the last one. If he wants to have a crack at that, and then we can just pick this question up when he's done.
Well, first of all, yes, I do agree that they are orchestrating this. Who they are, I don't know. It might be the left. It might be, is there a false flag involved? Look, history is replete with false flags. But as a Christian, I just want to look at Charlie Kirk's assassination, the murder of that Ukrainian girl, the political violence and the violent discourse. That's all on the left these days. That is all on the left. And whoever we are, we can't take the bait for violence. We can't do that. But that doesn't mean that we have to be doormats as we have continued, as we really have. The left has gotten away with things for years. But first, if you're a Christian, prayer, always prayer. First in the morning, all day, before night, pray for your enemies. But we're not doormats. So as Jason Levine, gather evidence, in this case, against the people cheering for the violence, against the people cheering for Charlie Kirk's assassination and the murder of that Ukraine girl and whatever we have, gather evidence and do it well. I use a program called Fireshot to gather online evidence. It's great. Do it. But then use that evidence to completely destroy, completely cancel the people who are our enemies and those who are cheering Charlie Kirk's assassination and the assassination of that Ukrainian girl and the killing at the Catholic school. They are our enemies. And you can only talk so much. I'm not saying violence, absolutely not. Gather evidence and then use that evidence to completely destroy them in their neighborhood, take them out socially. I mean, by, saying what they did, promoting what they did. If that means they lose their job, great. It's a war. And then pray some more. But once again, don't take the violence. But it doesn't mean we have to sit here and be doormats. We have all sorts of tools. That's what we're doing here now. We can't not resist in legal ways of the tsunami of violence against Christians and other good people.
I have a police scanner recording queued up of them finding the shooter.
Jason's coming up with the gold here.
Go for it.
Yeah, it's just a couple minutes. So I haven't listened to it, but I saw the transcript. It looks compelling. Is there any audio coming through? Hold on.
No.
The library. He's wearing jeans.
Here we go.
Just maybe the CS building is just east of the library. He's wearing jeans, black shirt, black mask, long rifle.
So far, that's not matching that old guy that in the video.
Okay. Oh, what was the description there? She said.
Yeah,
black jeans.
Yeah.
Black jacket. There's more coming up.
Okay.
Okay. I think he's been cleared as being the shooter. I think that's not.
Yeah.
I think it's just really weird for him if he was just an innocent bystander. For him,
Rob, just let him play the video.
It's almost done.
10 East 600 North. Denver.
To UVU, there was one shot. We are staging at the front of the school by the roundabout.
Is on top of the building on the far north side, just east of the library, wearing jeans, black shirt, black vest. We are regional currently.
Before for Mercury 5.
Jeans, black shirt, black vest.
And a long rifle.
Yeah, it's clearly this guy is not the shooter, but his behavior was so unusual.
Other victims
Suggests that he was possibly involved to, as you said at the beginning, act as a decoy.
Great. All incoming units, you guys can cancel. We just have the one victim.
Okay, so at that point, they only had the one victim. And I do want to just bring up Charlie's post, a post that he made just a while ago in April. Assassination culture is spreading on the left. 48% of liberals say it would be at least somewhat justified to murder Elon Musk, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah.
That's crazy.
I think this culture is definitely got to stop, guys.
It should go without saying assassination culture should be opposed by everyone.
But
so yeah, for him to call that out because they were talking about Musk at the time, right? They were burning down Teslas and stuff. And yeah, they did a poll and a lot of one side. And I absolutely agree with this whole, it's the top is the problem, not left and right. So I do want to definitely put my hat on that side of things here. I don't think this is a left-right issue. This is a top-down
Well,
issue.
the right is doing some sketchy shit now too, right? I mean, this is part of the reason I'm taking a break from these platforms. Is I got on X in after Elon took it over, or around the time it was in like summer 2023 or something like that, June, and I enjoyed it for a while, but I find that it is so negative, especially because it seems to allow what the other platforms weren't allowing. So post October 7th, with the whole thing with Israel, there was a massive surge in criticism of Israel, which isn't a bad thing. But also, you know, opening up this big thing like the Jewish question, which I don't think is a bad thing either. Like we should talk about all issues. However, what I saw when somebody sent me this today, and I went on there and looked, I could just see a lot of people saying things like, well, this is what Charlie Kirk says about Gaza and Palestinians, therefore he deserves to die. That's fucking sick. And like, I don't agree with Charlie Kirk's position on Israel at all. However, for the rhetoric to be going that way is a sign of the times. And I'm seeing this on the left and the right. It isn't just the left. The right is now getting into these dark places where, yeah, there's good questions to be asked about these things. We should be questioning every major world history event. That should be okay. But to be celebrating people being harmed or killed is fucking insane. And I'm seeing that on the right more than ever, actually. But that's because I pay attention to the right more. I don't really pay attention to the left. If I want to pay attention to the left, I watch Mark Dice videos or something, right? I get my dose of what I can handle.
Any movie, any TV show, any news.
Well, yeah, I don't go there. But if I just want to see how insane they are today, I just watch, you know, Paul Joseph Watson or Mark Dice to give me the dose, because I can't handle their shit. But I am seeing it on the right. I'm seeing post to October 7th a major shift on social media to literally calling for violence. And you have a lot of these influencers who are, you know, in the sort of I don't want to truncate them, but they're on the right, and they criticize Jews in Israel. But there's a lot of these guys that literally say the most insane racist shit all the time and are calling for violence. And it looks like, to me, like some of these characters are totally controlled opposition. It looks to me like there's a massive move on X in particular, which is starting to look like a big honeypot operation, to let them all come in, let them fly their freak flag, and then bring down the hammer. And I think this is what we're going to start to see more of. Is we're going to see, especially with this happening with Charlie Kirk, because he was very pro-Zionist, and Trump is a Zionist as well. And I think we're going to see the hammer come down on some of those criticisms. I think those criticisms are good, but we don't need to go so far that people are getting hurt, right? We should have discussion and be open, and yeah.
And I'll kind of second what you're saying there, Curtis. I didn't notice it October 7th. I certainly noticed it running for the election. I was attacked by people on the right more than anybody else during the federal election, because I wasn't with Pierre Poilievre. A lot of my friends prior to the election were harsh. I saw really good people like Dan Hartman take a lot of attacks just simply for supporting the one guy that said no more vax. Like, the right was... And this is why maybe Nico says I'm more towards the center than anything else, because I got pushed away by the whole right just because I picked a particular political party and ran for them. And they were vicious. Like, some of them, not as bad as death threats, but definitely very nasty, like very nasty. So look, this is not a left and right thing. No, it's
not. It's not a left or right thing.
There's bad on both sides, and
100%.
And yeah.
I think what I would just to add to what you're saying there, Jason, I think the best way to think about this is, as you guys say, it's not a left or right thing. What it is, even though right now contextually, a lot of the violence and this kind of rhetoric is primarily coming from the left. What's really going on is there's that 10 to 15% on both sides that are just shitty people. They are extremists, they are radical, and they are always
that bell curve, right? The bell curve.
And exactly right. Always and at all times trying to take control of the mainstream faction of their side so that they can control all of it. And in this exact moment, it just so happens that the nutty 10 to 15% have more control over the mainstream left than the nutty 10 to 15% of the right has over the right. That does not mean that like it's a left-wing thing, right? It just means that in this exact moment, the tide, they've got more control over the left than the right does. But it does exist on the right. And if the right isn't careful, they too can be overtaken by the insane 15%, the way that the left is. And those factions will never, ever, ever go away.
It's just a pendulum, dude.
Guys,
for power will shift.
Yes.
There's other people on the panels, guys. We need to give voices to other people too. But the point is that as we speak right now, the left is pushing more. Yes. As a conservative, I will say what Jason says 100%. I do not like Pierre Poilievre. I did not support him. I will never support him. And I called him out for the weak leadership that he is. That being said, I got hated on by the right as much as I'm getting it from the left right now. And I'm more I'm a conservative. I'm not a conservative with a big C that's a liberal in blue. I'm a conservative Christian is what I am. And I'm getting it from both sides. But at the same time, I see people on the right calling them out. I'm not the only one. Jason does it. I do it. There's a lot of other people keeping the right accountable. I'm not seeing it on the left.
Yeah,
the vast majority. And this is my problem with this event. If you have people in the government that won't take a minute of silence for somebody that just got assassinated, that tells you a lot about the mindset that they have. Those are the people, those are the leaders. You have
that's where the shit rolls
you have
from, right?
But that's my point. And the left is literally, and I'm not saying all left, but the woke left or the part of the crazies on the left are calling this as something to celebrate. This is insane. This is absolutely insane to have people celebrate the death of somebody that would probably, like I said earlier, just say, guys, no violence. As a Christian, he would just go, don't be violent about this. Let's try to figure it out. But the onus is on the left right now to step it up. The right needs to be careful and shut up and not get violent, because that is, if I've seen a better bait, I don't think there's a better bait than what's going on right now. This is a perfect bait for the right to go crazy, because Charlie Kirk was not this crazy Republican. He was trying to open that conversation with the left. He's been doing it for years. So he is the perfect martyr for the right to lose their shit and go violent. We can't let that happen, because we all know that he wouldn't have preached for that as a Christian. But there's an onus on the left for them to stop that rhetoric coming from the left, because there's nothing I can do to speak to those leftists. They don't listen to me. It can't come from me. This is why I call out the Conservative Party so much, is because it needs to come from conservatives. They need to listen to the same people that are supposedly being represented by that party. So this is something that needs to start happening from the left. The left needs to step it up and start calling out those idiots out there, because they are fucking idiots for saying that Charlie Kirk dying is a good thing.
Jason D. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, well, that's where I was going. Jason D. as the token American here. What are you thinking?
Well, I think from an American perspective, if we think the left has no sympathy, or the left is doing this and the left is that, then the three people on this panel must be the exception that rewrites the rule. I'm going to go back. Look, when Martin Luther King got assassinated, there were a lot of people on the other end of that political party that were like, good, we don't remember their names because we don't care. Right. And the same thing's going to happen here. This man got assassinated, and you're going to have some people who are going to remain nameless, because history will dictate that we're not going to care about those people. And just like Donald said, we I don't want censorship. I want them to be open. I want to know who they are because, like Donald said, we know who they are on a social level, and it's someone that we are going to make our mind to not associate with. So, in that respect, I will agree with Donald. For me, I just find this bizarre that we had more righties and lefties on this, and the only one that actually cried in this panel was me. Because the whole I wasn't thinking about this when I came in as Charlie Kirk, a family man. I came in thinking of this as a free speech absolutist. The man will always have my respect because anyone that has the mental acumen and the testicular fortitude to open the fourth wall on the stage and say, you know what, the prove me wrong thing. I'm in this freedom of exchange of ideas thing. And Nico's wrong. There are a ton of lefties. They're just not as magnetizing and as galvanizing as Charlie Kirk. He has a personality, so the personality sticks out. Candace Owens, right? Like it seems like the right has like this group of people that came out at the same time that are just more well-spoken, and they're just trying to reach out to young conservatives because there was that dynamic shift in the young party from conservatives to liberal. But what you guys are failing to mention, at least on my American perspective, and what we all agree with, the DNC is so fucking nuts right now. There was a 27%, guys, 27% exodus from the Democratic Party, where people decided to vote the couch or vote independent, and some even voted for Donald Trump because they tried it Biden's way. And as a classic liberal who is about anti-war and free speech, there's no way I can vote for someone who was not even democratically elected in the primary, much less want to vote for someone who was right? I mean, there was election by selection 3 times, even VP, right? We don't get to vote for our vice president. They're like, you know what? No one liked her in the primary. Tough shit. You got her as the VP, and we're gonna run Biden again. And when Biden wins, he's gonna step down, and that's gonna be your president, unvoted. That's my conspiracy theory. But I wanted to land to the original premise and get back to the most important thing. If you ever want to bring the left back to the middle, reach out to some of these old school liberals. Reach out to these free speech enthusiasts, and remind everybody what this is about. The free exchange of ideas. And I'm going to say this for the 3rd time. My lefties who despise him, I tell them this: if free speech has not disgusted you, and if you're not revolted by free speech at any point in your life, you haven't fucking fought hard enough for it. You have not fought hard enough for free speech if it doesn't disgust you. Okay? If you dislike him, tough shit, because free speech is there to protect unpopular speech. Popular speech does not need protection. All right? And I can go home, and honestly, it gives me a hard on to have 6 guys fighting.
Where are you going with
Six
this?
guys. Wait.
Yeah.
Hey, bro. I know you're you're in LA. You're in California, sorry, but this is not that type of show.
Yeah.
Like, what the?
That's not how we roll here.
That's not how we roll here.
You know, Nico. Oh, excuse me. And Mr. King, we know about how you are with head, okay? Your head game is really cool. I see you right now.
Did you ever
Look at
see
that
those
head.
clips?
Look at that head.
You ever see those clips? People walking, and it's like a guy walking all manly, and then he goes over a rainbow crosswalk, and he starts like sashaying across.
That's Jason.
I gotta
right
leave
there.
again.
As he got to LA, he just
I know
sashayed over.
Donald.
Can I add something to that?
Hold on, Donald needs to go, so we'll give him final
go ahead.
words before he leaves. Go ahead.
Well, I just want to say I agree with Jason there, rainbow crosswalks and all.
Yeah.
We've got to be able to talk to each other, and isn't this wonderful? I so enjoyed this discussion. I don't think we disagreed on much, and whatever we disagreed, in honor of Charlie Kirk, his favorite thing was "Let's talk, change my mind," and I think that's my takeaway from this show. We're not going to take the bait. We're not doormats, but we're not going to take the bait.
Amen.
And I so enjoyed and appreciate speaking with each and every one of you. So thanks very much. And I've got to get ready for my own show tonight at 9. And there we
take
go.
care, Donald. I appreciate that.
Thanks for being here, Donald.
Great final words there. And just guys, if you are watching the show and tuning in, we are of course talking about Charlie Kirk's the news that happened there today out in Utah. And if you caught what Donald has just said a few minutes ago about we are people from all over the spectrum, but we're able to get here and have a productive discussion, and also respectful. That's what this show is all about. That's really what we do on this show. So, I'm glad that Donald kind of glommed onto that, because that is exactly what happens. And the reason is because we consciously make that decision. You can decide to find common ground with people. You can decide to be reasonable. You do not have to go out there and just hurl insults, although you would never know that if you just spend more than 5 minutes on social media. Social media seems designed, and I have no doubts the algorithm pushes this, but it is designed to get us to hate each other. It is designed. And of course, they probably don't see it like that. That's just how they make their money. The more clicks, rage invites clicks. People who are angry, they click and they comment. And that's really what it's all about. It's unfortunate, but it's kind of, the banality of evil. But we don't need to be slaves to that. We can actually decide to do things differently. And that is what we do every day on this show. So if you are just tuning in and you appreciated what Donald said, you appreciate this kind of an atmosphere, welcome. And hopefully you guys stick around, because that's, what we do every day. Please like and share the stream. That's the best way you can support us. You can also become a member for $2.99, and that will, of course, allow you to support independent journalism, support us on the show, and you'll help build this community. So yeah, I'll throw that to you, Nico, wherever you want to go next.
Well, I think Curtis had something to say. So unless Jason Levine, you had something to say, because the turn would be yours, I believe. But I know Curtis is just waiting for it.
I'll yield the floor to Curtis. He did speak up.
So yeah, what I wanted to say, I always try to pull the lens back in my thinking and with all of this. And I think like what we witnessed over the last, say, 10 years is we saw the left get woke, right? We saw, because, I was a teenager in the 90s, and, I was a punk rocker, and it was all, against Bush Senior and Reagan, right? Back in those days. And so at that time, left was anti-establishment. That's what I grew up with, was the anti-establishment left, right?
That's right.
That was the kind of liberal that I was. But then we saw a shift as the pendulum moves from left to the right, which it always does, because if you've ever read Tragedy and Hope by Carol Quigley, I'd highly recommend anybody who wants to understand how all they pull these conspiracies off. You got to understand the methods that they use is they always try to create these false paradigms, which are essentially guardrails for you, right? Is keep you in box A or box B. Meanwhile, both are going to the slaughterhouse. But we witnessed over the last 10 years, the left go from anti-establishment to woke. And for me, when I say woke, I mean essentially 2 + 2 is 5. It's like your eyes can see the opposite of what you're being told, just like we saw during COVID and whatnot. And so we watched the left get woke with all this stuff, the George Floyd, the Black Lives Matter stuff, the trans stuff, the COVID stuff, you name it. But now the pendulum is swinging back to the right. And now it's the right is coming out mainstream. But the right is also getting woke. And I want to give you a couple examples of how the right is getting woke right now. One, which is painfully obvious, is the whole Israel thing, and how everybody is just getting woke on Israel, and they're turning a blind eye to all the insane atrocities that go on there, and the fact that Israel created Hamas. That's on the record. The Israel Times, you can Google the article. They created Hamas. And then another thing that the right's getting woke on right now is this whole 51st state thing. So back when the liberals were anti-establishment, George W. Bush tried to bring in the North American Union. Okay, remember this. And it was the Amero. And all the anti-establishment leftists were saying, screw that. No, we're not doing this. But also the anti-establishment right were united. So they shot that down. And then Obama came in and he tried to rebrand it under the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Okay, that got shot down because the left wasn't woke enough yet. But or maybe they were, but people weren't buying it. But now in this new era of Trumpism, now Trump is rah America again. 51st state. I'm flying the Trump Air to Greenland, and now we're back to the North American Union. But the right is going, yeah, rah. But it's the same plan that was outlined under the Club of Rome when they proposed world government under 10 regions. Okay, I'm an old school conspiracy theorist. I go back 25 years. I've been reading this shit for a long time, and that's where we are. So the right is now. It's not that. Yes, it's the pendulum of going left and right, but now that it's the right's turn to get woke, because what you see with your eyes. Oh, don't believe that. Trust us. Trust us over your eyes. And we saw even in Canada with some of the conservatives who supported the COVID policies, or the conservatives that support the immigration policies, because the level of debate in Canada amongst the major parties on immigration is the Liberals are saying, we want 500,000 new East Indians in this country every year. And then Pierre Poilievre says, how dare you, 450. That's the level. That's the level of debate going on in this country. It's a fucking joke. And so again, going back to the bankers, and it's not left and right, it's up and down, is who are these people printing the money? Who are these people funding the wars? Who are the people that fund the media and everything? This is where we have to stay focused, because they want us in the weeds playing, the left and this. But everybody's getting woke, because nobody can see what's actually going on, because they just believe the bullshit that they're served up.
Were you speaking in terms of Canada before we go to Levine? Or the United States?
Actually, I'm curious to see Jason D's answer to this, because the way he was shaking his face. I want to let you answer. Go back at Curtis, or if you have anything to say.
Curtis, we're supposed to be on the same side, but from the American perspective, if you look at all of the biggest recipients from APAC, which is the American Israel Political Action Committee, all of those people are Democrats. Kamala Harris had $5 million, right? Joe Biden had $5 million a year. Joe Biden, after his last year of the presidency, he said he's going to support Israel unconditionally. And the Democratic Convention, when Palestinians had a chance to speak at the Democratic Convention, they let Israeli people speak for Israel, and then told the Palestinian people, you're not going to have a chance to speak. So even though the right is very dominated, or historically dominated, it's important for you to recognize the dynamic shift that Israel owns people. Cory Bush got primaried out because he wouldn't support Israel. Jamal Bowman, a New York congressman, got outed, got primaried out, right? Henry Cuellar, who's a Democrat, who's, by the way, a pro-life Democrat. They would have rather have a pro-life Democrat than have someone run against them that was anti-Israel. So before we put the onus on the conservatives here, from an American perspective, let's pump the brakes on that. It is the most dangerous thing in the world. For the Canadians that don't know what I'm talking about, APAC is a super PAC in America that offers, like Nico's running against Rob, they'll offer Nico 50 grand. Nico's like, fuck you, I'm not selling out for 50 grand. But they know Rob needs the 50 grand, so they give Rob.
I'll sell out.
Rob will win. And when Rob gets elected, and I'll finish by saying this, when Rob gets elected, they assign an APAC handler. Republican Thomas Massey was on Tucker Carlson and said that APAC has handlers. They send a person to show you who to vote for and page down the line for legislation. And he himself said it's both Democrips and Republicans. But I bless your liberal heart, because I'm on you full throated on almost every issue, especially the war in Israel. The war against.
I'm a staunch conservative now, but I wasn't.
I don't understand why this issue is just so divisive, and just why people are allowing it to divide, within, because I just don't think it's that important. One of the, let's say, imagine two scenarios. The Palestinian side gets everything they want over there, or the Israeli side gets whatever they want. It really doesn't change life material here one way or the other. I just don't see it as that important of an issue. It's normally important from a broad sense of, yes, human rights and yes, right, those. But if that's your only concern, there's also 10 other hotspots all over the world that are equally bad. So no one talks about those. I don't know why. I just don't care personally that much one way or the other about this issue.
Especially how Canadians are hurting right here. We talk about this on the
show
all the time.
Yeah, it's not that he don't care, as in I'm a terrible person. There's so much more.
One out of four Canadian cannot afford daily necessities as per the food bank. That's my number one priority. The Canadians that I cannot help people in Palestine. I can't help people in that conflict between Palestine and Israel.
I know.
And at the end of the day, I don't give two shits, because it's been going on for thousands of years. Right. It's never going to end. We're always going to be at war. Right.
But
where I can
Nico,
have
you
an
know
impact
what we
You're
have
not
to
gonna get the money.
differentiate now, though.
No, but
We have to
Curtis,
differentiate.
before you,
Sorry,
Curtis,
go ahead.
before you go, we'll let Jason.
Yeah,
Levine.
sorry.
He's very polite and he doesn't tend to speak over people. So
Jay, thank you.
Jason, go for it.
Look, I've just been going through the streams, looking at the various medias, and we already have a common message from the media, whether it's Rachel Gilmore to MSNBC to BBC. They're all saying there's going to be an uprising here from the right. They're going to get violent. They're right-wing extremists. We're getting this like crazy across the board. The Trusted News Initiative, which is an organization out of the UK that was established around the 9/11 stuff, has been where I think a lot of this stuff has come from, whether it's safe and effective to right-wing extremists, etc. They've already the same drumbeat. If you just go through the streams and look at it, they're doing the same thing. Fox is memorializing. They've turned him into a martyr already, while everybody else has now started to say there's going to be an uprising, there's going to be an uprising. The radicalization of the right-wing response has already started in the media. And this is where I want to be cautious, like very cautious. Let's not fall for that trap. This is a honeypot. This is a trap. Don't fall for that. Everybody take a deep breath. Go and spend some time with your family. Get off social media because they're stoking. They want a response. When you see all the media come together, and we've all seen that montage video, it's an attack on democracy. It's an attack on democracy. Like we've all seen that video where they're all talking exactly the same. It's happening right now while we're live across all media. They are saying, watch out for the right. They're going to attack. Don't do that. That they're trying to do exactly that. I definitely want to, touch on what some Curtis said there. I really don't get into that conversation about Israel and that kind of stuff because I think if you follow the Marxist dialectics, that's exactly what they're trying to do. They will divide all over the place. Black, white, left, right, east, west, the haves and the leafs. Like division is everywhere. And the more that we divide, the more that we fall into that trap and we start fighting each other. The one thing that we all have in common is we're all serfs. We're all serfs. There's a globalist, there's serfs. And that's it. That's really where the only division is in my mind.
Love that.
Yeah, it's a club, but we're not in it. So what I love about this kind of show where we have left, right, center, up, like we have everybody here. This is what Charlie would have wanted. He would have wanted to see more people come together like this from all sides of the spectrum, political spectrum, and come together and kind of work through this issue. We have extremists on both sides. That bell curve is a real thing. We need to focus on the guys in the middle. We need to work together. We need to identify that whoever is involved, and this is still very early, want us to do the bad stuff. Absolutely. So if you go see CNN right now, BBC, CTV, MSNBC, all of them, they are currently talking about how the right are going to rise up and retaliate. And then the right side, like Fox, they're martyring him right now. This is a bad combination. So I'm taking a close look at the media. That's why I'm shaking my head. And another piece of information that came out, Charlie wears a bulletproof vest. So he was worried about this. This has been an issue. He does wear a bulletproof vest, according to one report I saw there. And there might be, with slow motion, hit the vest, hit his neck, is what they're doing with the slow motion right now. So he was, he knew the dangers of going out there speaking in open air public, and he was as prepared as you can be. So one of the things that Jeff said was, if this was like a professional, they would hit the center mass. They would go for the center mass. Unless they knew he was vested up, maybe they would be raising that rifle up a little bit higher. There is other information that's been coming out. I can't confirm it. It's coming out from like one or two sources. They're putting the blame on the 17-year-old from the university who, according to these things, I can't confirm it yet, but might be trans. So we got to keep an eye on some of this information that's coming out. And I think they're tying to this particular person because of threats that were posted by this person yesterday, including a comment about watch what happens tomorrow. It will be big. Last comment I'm going to put out there. There's already threats against JD Vance at this stage too. So it's getting pretty ugly. So don't fall into that trap. Pay attention to what the media is saying, but don't listen to the media. Just pay attention. You hear them, but you don't have to listen. They are in lockstep right now, both sides. Martyrdom on one side, retaliation on the other. Don't fall for it.
I do want to say something very quickly there, just Nico, before you go.
No, but
Yeah.
I wanted to bring this up because I had it queued up. This is
Yeah,
exactly
Rachel.
the example that he's talking
That's
about.
so ridiculous.
You have a very
Basically
massive
begging them.
woke leftist saying
the
that it's
right
basically it's gonna
be
be us that's gonna be violent, and it doesn't matter who really did the shooting. We're gonna be violent. Yet
What a
look at the
bimbo.
past. Look at the
And
past.
that came out
years.
within an hour, like within an
Oh
hour of
yeah,
the shooting. She put that out, and she used that
three
word retaliate. Look for that
346.
keyword.
Yeah,
346
basically
is when it
begging,
came out.
almost begging the right. I just want to make a quick comment
But
about
hold
the.
on, let's just address. I just want to address this first. The only thing I'm going to say is she is saying that we will react the way the left tends to react. This is what I find very interesting.
I think she got the memo,
irony here.
Nico. I think she got the memo. Retaliate's the word. Push it. I think she got the memo.
There's no way I'm going to believe that there's no agenda, because she's a Canadian girl that has never looked at anything that Charlie Kirk. She has never spoken about Charlie Kirk before. I follow this girl to understand how fucking how many idiots we have on the left. That's why I follow her. She never spoken about Charlie Kirk before. So somebody told her, and she's not that bright, right? She's not that smart. So you know that there's something
It's kinda
being
hot,
pushed
though.
down.
Yeah.
Well, she is a leftist, so she's probably very good in bed, but she will scratch your car and
No,
stab you.
no.
The crazies, man.
Conservatives
the
are wild
crazies.
in bed.
Just about the center of mass thing. I mean, that is broadly true that the rank and file troops are trained to shoot center mass, but snipers are not. And I'm not saying this guy was a sniper, but snipers are taking headshots. That's the whole point of being a sniper. But not saying this guy's a trained sniper or anything like that. But I'm just saying, as a argument that it's probably not a professional, I don't think that necessarily flies.
But like I said earlier, you got to be careful, because in a lot of events, Charlie Kirk is sitting at a table. He has a microphone in front of him. Like there's something
and if he
in
was
front
shot
of center mass.
If
So
he
for
was
all
shot,
you know,
yeah.
But if he indeed had a bulletproof vest, that sounds...
and that's what deflected the bullet. Talk about that'd be like getting a car accident and it's the seatbelt that around your neck that kills you.
I'm sad. I'm so sad for this freaking guy, dude.
You know, earlier, Jason, you spoke about this. You spoke about this. Like I was shocked when this happened, because I follow a lot of conservative in the US, so I knew about it within 5 or 10 minutes that the first person announced it. I look one shot at the video, I'm like, that guy's dead. That guy, there's no fucking way that guy's
he lost
making it.
2 pints of blood in
just
like
3
seconds.
Yeah.
No.
If he was in the hospital bed when he got shot, maybe
even
he
then,
could be saved.
Even
maybe,
then,
but even then it would be difficult.
Yeah.
But all
And there's contradictory information about the shooter. There's yet more video of another guy. It's an older white gentleman. So it's still the fog of wartime. So there's more information coming out all the time.
But all I wanted to say is, when I saw this, I felt bad for his family, because Charlie Kirk's 31 years old. 2 kids.
Yeah.
He just got a new kid. My newborn's 2 months, bro. If I got shot, I would want people to think about them.
And you have to.
Because what does that mean to his children? He's trying to change. He's been trying to influence the youth by showing them public discourse, and his own children won't have access to him when he's done it to thousands, if not hundreds of thousands. We know that he's impacted millions of young conservatives' voices everywhere. Like, he's influenced them for years.
Right.
I create content for a living, right? And I see him everywhere, and it's never from guys like me. It's not guys in their 40s. There's nothing Charlie Kirk says that is going to sway me in any direction.
And he got along with people that disagree with him.
It's the
like
young
him and Candace
minds.
Owens. Him and Candace Owens are on the opposite ends of the Israel thing, and they're still friends. You know,
But it's the young minds that's been going through the indoctrination center their whole life that finally get a guy that will tell them what's really going on and will come to campus to talk to them directly, take the good comments, take the bad ones, but at least engage with people. And it's the youth that are going to pay for this one.
Yeah. Listen, he went from grifter, preying on college freshmen, to some of these college freshmen saying, you know what, I'm going to use my critical thinking skills and argue back instead of like trying to shout them down and curse them down. And that's what I thought his brand became bigger. And I don't know if he did this wittingly. I think maybe he stumbled upon it. It was like, wait, you know, this is a grift. I enjoy being like smarter than these young cats and like schooling them to like, okay, wow, they're hitting back, and now that's the American way. I'm
That's
with
when it really
Canadians
took
on
off
that.
too, right?
Yeah.
That's when it became, I thought, the most popular and even the most mainstream, if you want to call it that, is
Yeah.
when the kids, they started to come armed, you know, with arguments, and that's the way it should be. And if I don't know Charlie Kirk, but I would suspect he probably liked that. He probably appreciated that these kids actually came with a debate,
Yeah.
an argument, and now we're actually having a debate, and now we're actually getting somewhere, right? Like now we're being
Yes.
productive.
And
And
Nico,
again,
the kids are all right. The kids,
yeah,
it turns out the kids are all right when they stopped shouting and when they started talking.
Their
This generation
feelings
of
were
kids,
just
they're fucking doing
temporarily
the
hurt.
damn thing. Yep.
well,
Funny how that
and
works, huh? Your feelings are gonna be okay. It might suck in the moment, but you know what? You'll recover. It's okay.
Sorry,
They're
Rob.
just feelings. They're just
Sorry,
feelings.
Rob.
Yeah, I mean, to the extent that, like, I'm going to put on a conspiracy theory hat. I'm not saying this is what I think happened or anything like that, but let's just, for the sake of devil's advocate argument, let's just say this was some orchestrated hit by some group or something, and you might ask yourself, well, who would benefit necessarily from taking out Charlie Kirk? You know, if you want to go by the conspiracy theory that the elites want us divided, they want us to be fighting each other. A guy like Charlie Kirk, who's actually pushing conversation, discourse, like we do on this show, that guy's probably more dangerous than the radical out there screaming at everyone. In fact, he's probably, you probably want the radical guys out there. So I think on some level, I know I personally myself, I was like, geez, why Charlie Kirk? Like, he's the sane, reasonable, moderate one. If you're going to kill someone on the right, why not any number of other guys? But the more you think about it, it's like, maybe that's why Charlie Kirk.
Nonviolent.
Because he was the sane, reasonable, moderate one.
I mean, you guys follow Charlie Kirk. Has this man even said anything that promotes violence? It promotes discourse, right? And I will never, ever, ever make a comparison between him and Martin Luther King, but and he's no Martin Luther King by any stretch of the imagination. I want to be clear about that. But the commonality was, God, these guys who want to do things the nonviolent way are the ones getting shot. What the hell?
Well, it's like Donald said when he left, like the whole, you know, the whole mindset behind the simple sentence, okay, let's talk about it. You know, that's not something that's out there today.
We're gonna end it in like 8 minutes, guys. So I want to give you a chance of final words. I'll start with Jason Levine. I'll go to Curtis afterwards. So Jason, any intelligent thoughts? Yeah, they don't even need to be intelligent, actually. Any final words?
Let's just digest this one, take our time with this. No knee-jerk reactions. Do not respond. Do not retaliate. Do not give the media what they're trying to provoke for. That is by far the first thing that you need to do. And second, hug a liberal, because it's not their fault either. Like, this is not a liberal conservative thing at all. We have to understand that we're all on the same boat on this particular issue. It's something else is bigger going on. We can call it evil and good and evil. We can call it spiritual. We can call it globalist, top down. There's a whole bunch of things. But what we do know is it's not the liberals and the conservatives doing this. It's somebody on the extreme ends or somebody at the extreme top. We don't know yet. So let's just stay calm, hug a liberal, hug a conservative, and don't get mad. Be sad, but don't get mad. That's where I'm going to put my mind.
Curtis?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with Jason there. It's why I'm not posting on social media right now. I find, I guess I've been into the grand conspiracy for so long that I just find with all these forces right now, I think that the kind of four things that are the biggest things right now, it's inflation, immigration, AI, and government overreach. With all these things going on, it's like the minutia is, I know people are creating content and they have a reason to comment on these things, but I would actually encourage people to just check out and get in nature and spend some time outside, spend some time with your family, and just enjoy life, because this shit's not going to get any better. Like, society is on a massive downward trajectory because so many years of money printing and corruption. And it looks to me like now what's going on the macro scale of it is that the upper level management are in on the racket and they are just filling their boots before the whole thing goes down. And so they can see that. And it's all looks like a controlled demolition to me. And I think the answer is going to be, hey, we need bigger government. And so that's what's going to happen is they're going to let us all divide, and they're hoping that we do, and we fight each other and kill each other. And then they're going to come in with a big solution. And that's, hey, you guys can't manage your shit. So how about a new big government to help you do that? So it's the same old scam. So yeah, get control over your resources, get agency over your affairs. My whole thing is get control of your food, water, energy, shelter, and buckle up. It's we're going to be in it for the long run.
Jason?
Well, I'm going to finish.
I agree with what Curtis is saying there.
There's 2 Jasons, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
sorry,
you
my bad.
mentioned Jason
Yeah.
D.
No, I bowed to
I would
Levine.
hug you, Jason, if I can. Hug a liberal.
Go ahead. You're up, Levine.
No, I was talking to you, Jason.
No, I was up.
Yeah, go for it, Jay. Now we're just waiting on you, Jason.
Oh,
Yes,
Yeah,
sorry.
you, brother. Go
Which
ahead.
Jason?
You know the guy
Jason
with the
D?
New York hat? Yeah, Jason D.
Tiberius. Okay.
Yes.
I'd like to finish this the same way I started this. If free speech at any point in your life has never made you throw up in your mouth, you haven't fought enough hard for. All right, we need to continue to fight for our right for the freedom of exchange of ideas. In my community and from my regional perspective, I'm known by my peers as a man of the people, and a lot of them have followed them and are now watching the Political Orphans podcast. And I encourage every single one of you to continue to follow this, because right now these guys are the ones with the balls.
Rob?
Yeah. I mean, I'll echo everything everybody just said. But yeah, especially Jason Levine there, just kind of calm. Don't be crazy. Like we're really in the fog of war here, and I'm even speaking to myself too. I know everyone wants to say be the first to break the news or to tweet out the thing, and I think it's always probably best to maybe take a step back. I mean, I know I tweeted out about the alleged shooter that turns out it wasn't. So, I had to delete that post. What Curtis said, touch grass, get out there. Social media can be pretty toxic place, but although this show is created to be essentially a refuge from that. So again, guys, remember to like and share the stream, become a member of the show. Just keep coming back. I know we didn't get to too many comments today if you are a first-time viewer, but normally the show is really comment heavy. We do engage with the audience in a way that I don't think anyone else does. Today, obviously, you'll cut us a little bit of slack because of the giant panel. But I think this show, what we did here today, is exactly the solution to all the problems that brought us here in the first place. And I'll probably just land on that.
All I'm going to say is I'm echoing everybody. I love hug a liberal. If you're liberal, hug a conservative. If you're conservative, hug a liberal. But at the end of the day, we all know Charlie Kirk was a Christian and he wouldn't have wanted any violent retaliation. So in honor of his memory, respect that and don't be violent. And I'm speaking to the Canadians out there that are going to the protests this weekend on September 13th. I know it's happening in Toronto. I know it's happening in Ottawa. Guys, what happened to Charlie Kirk, don't translate that there. Don't make that protest violent. Don't give in the counter protesters, because there's going to be some. So guys, keep it civil. At the end of the day, we tend to agree on about 80% of things, just like Rob and I do every single day. So keep it nice. Hug a liberal. I like it. Hug a liberal.
That's right.
I'm gonna have t-shirts made.
That's right, bitches.
Hug a liberal.
Hug us. Guys, I mean, if you have any final words, this is a great chat. I mean, it sucks that I was gonna say it was a lot of fun. I mean, obviously it sucks that the reason we came here is not to have fun, but it's always good to have see you guys' faces again, for the 2 Jasons that are regulars, and obviously Curtis, who is first time on the show, but hopefully you guys come back. It's what it's all about. It's a lot of fun. Great to have these kind of conversations where these, I would say, these are pretty rare.
Curtis, come on my podcast whenever you want. We have lots to talk about.
Yeah, brother.
We'll
close
it off.
Yeah,
we'll close it off. You guys
reconnect.
just stay in the backstage and organize your.
Yeah,
day.
stick around.
I'll just close the end stream. But for all the people out there,
Just before you close there, Nico.
Yep.
Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Mountain, or no, Eastern, 7 a.m. Mountain. I'll be having a show all about this with Chris Dacey and some others. We're calm, we're relaxed, we'll have some time to think about things. And then everybody join us, Nico, as well, on Saturday. So 9 p.m. Eastern. Join Saturday. I'm sure this will be the topic because we're covering the weekly news. There will definitely be Jeff Evely will be back. There'll be some more people. So tomorrow we'll cover some stuff on my show. Saturday there'll be more with Nico and Jeff Evely. So mark your calendars and come back for that kind of stuff. We are calm, collective, and I think there's some intelligence floating around here. So I'd like to share some more tomorrow morning and then again on Saturday.
The appearance
That's
of
it, guys.
intelligence, at least. Was it you always say,
The-
Jason? The hint of intelligence or something.
Symptoms.
Jason, yeah, we have symptoms of intelligence around here.
Well, on that note, guys, enjoy the rest of your day, and thanks for being on with us.
All right, guys, check it. Come back tomorrow, same time as always, 8 Eastern. Except for today, obviously it was a special time. But tomorrow we're back at our regular scheduled programming, and we will see you then.